Hello everyone, myself Shivalal Gupta and I welcome all of you to the All India Mock Test 3 live discussion. So in this session I am going to take up the question associated with the history and other respected faculty, they will take up the other question. So I hope all of you have given the test very well and you will try to maximize from the test which we are going to discuss. Fine. So in this session I am going to discuss both knowledge as well as certain skills which we require to maximize our score. Fine. Okay. Let's begin with the question number 11 and again question number 11 is from the ancient and particularly Vedic period. So we have to find out correct one, right? Now if you look at the socio-economic aspect during the Vedic period, right? So we will talk about society. The Kul, all of you know the Kul was the lowest unit of family, and again the family was actually headed by the Kulapa. Okay, so Kul basically means family, and family is headed by the eldest male member, and eldest male member during the Vedic period he was called as a Kulapa. So obviously he is the eldest male member or the head of the family. That's right. Now, when we talk about later Vedic text, the rice is given different name. For example, we have Vrihi, Tandul and Sali. So these are the different names for the rice that is written in the later Vedic text. Fine. So that is also right. Now, understand there when we talk about Vedic period, we have the beginning of what we call as the ashram system. Fine. So when we talk about there are 4 ashram that one need to follow, right? First we have the Brahmacharya. So all of you know Brahmacharya basically means this is the phase of education where one leave their house and they go to the Acharya and then they basically pursue the education. And after the Brahmacharya you have Grihast. So after the education one marry and then they live a life of the household. And then finally we have after certain point of time it is the Vanprasth, basically leaving your house in search of the truth. So that is the 3rd ashram. Now when we talk about Vedic period, understand in Vedic period we have just 3 ashram. Okay. When we talk about the 4 ashram, that is the sannyasi. When you renounce everything, sannyasi basically means the renunciation of free from all attachment. Understand? So sannyasi, when we talk about sannyasi, the first references of sannyasi, or we can say 4 ashram of a school we have in the Jabala Upanishad. So basically what I am trying to highlight here, in the Vedic text we have just 3 schools of the ashram. There is no sannyasi. The 4th school, that is the sannyasi, first references we have in the Jabala Upanishad. Fine. Now if you look at the line here, sannyasi basically one who free from all the attachment or ascetic. Who were the sannyasis? Sannyasis, they are generally considered as a person who protested against the Vedic social structure. Fine. Like Gautam Buddha, you can also talk about Gautam Buddha. So this is also right. See, Pani, okay, Pani, they were the merchant. The wealthy people or the merchant in Vedic period, they were called as a Pani. Okay, it's not a type of tax. So this is not right and that is wrong. And then when we talk about Bali and Bhag, okay, it became compulsory during the later Vedic. That's right. So understand here 1, 2, 3, 5. They are right while 4 is wrong. So how many statesmen they are right? We know that there are 4 statesmen, that is right. Fine. So the answer is C. I hope now you got the idea. Let's move to the next question. Question number 12. Again, this is little bit difficult if you have not read the basic concept. Now, when we talk about 6th century BC, we have 16 Mahajanpadas. Understand the basic concept here. We have 16 Mahajanpadas, and all of 16 Mahajanpadas, they were situated on certain river. For example, now understand, when we talk about Kasi, again one of the prominent kingdom, right? Lord Rama, okay. So according to many, Lord Rama belonged to the Kosal. According to many scholars, he belonged to the Kasi kingdom, and the capital of Kasi was the Varanasi. And now understand how the name Varanasi came into being. Understand, basically, if we talk about Varanasi, it is surrounded by or cut by the two rivers, the river Varuna and the river Asi. And from the river Varuna and the Asi, we have the name Varanasi. Fine. So understand, this is the basic concept you should understand here. So what I am trying to argue here, the 16 Mahajanpadas, they were surrounded or they were cut by the certain river. And certainly this type of question is very important from your exam point of view. For example, all of Patliputra was called as a Jal Durga, right? Why Patliputra was called as a Jal Durga? Because it was surrounded by the four rivers, Ganga, Gandak, Ghagar and the Son river. So therefore, this is one of the classical question that is repeated by the UPSC so many times. All good? Fine. So what we have to find out? Correctly match, right? So when we talk about Mallas, they are again Republican Mahajanpadas, and Mallas, you will find out the Kakutha river actually crossed the Mallas. So that's right. We have most southern Mahajanpada, that is the Asaka, and all of if I draw the map of, okay, this is the Asaka, and you will find out the Godavari river, it passes through the Mahajanpadas of the Asaka, okay. Then we have Avanti, understand this is Avanti, and we have Vetravati, okay, that is the river that divide the Avanti into the two parts, the northern Avanti and the southern Avanti. In fact, initially you will find out there were two capital of Avanti. The northern Avanti had the capital at Mahismati, and the southern Avanti had the capital at the Ujjain. Later on, when this both kingdom unified, the capital became the Ujjain. Fine. So anyway, the Vetravati river actually crossed or divide the Avanti into the two parts, northern and the southern. So I hope now this point is clear to all of you, and all three they are correct, and therefore correctly match all three. I hope now you got the idea. Let's move to the next question. Question number 3. Okay, we have question number 13. Sorry. Again, when we talk about question number 30, we have Birsa Munda. All of we have very popular Munda revolt, tribal revolt. And understand, when we talk about Kuntakari system, this is the tribal system of the ownership of the land. Now understand, when we talk about tribe, in tribe, understand, the land do not, suppose if the tribe reside in this area, okay, the land do not belong to the one person, the land belong to the entire tribe. There was no concept of individual ownership of the land in the tribe. But when Britishers went into the tribal area, they introduced the concept of individual ownership of the land. And this led to the, lots of revolt, including the Birsa Munda revolt. So that's right, okay. Kuntakari system was prevalent in the, this area, and that led to the Birsa, revolt. Again, Munda revolt by the Birsa Munda, right? That is the first. Santhal revolt, again very popular. This was led by the Siddo and Kano, two brothers, right? That's right. And Tamar revolt, again this is because of the land revenue policy and the consequent exploitation by the Britishers, and this was led by the Bhola Nath Sahai. That is right, and therefore all three. So when we talk about question number 3, again we have to find out correct, and all three were correctly matched. And I hope now you got the idea. Fine. Let's move to the next question. Now, question number 14. Question number 14. So when we talk about question number 14, Indian Queen Nightingale, for her bravery and the resistance against the foreign invasion, right? So there were many. Rani Rudrama Devi, she belonged to the Kakatiyas of Warangal. But when we talk about Rudrama Devi, again, she fought, she mainly faced the internal crisis, not the outside crisis. And obviously, she was not called as a nightingale of the India, right? So that's not right. Chand Bibi, yes. Chand Bibi was the queen from the Ahmednagar, understand? Ahmednagar. And during the Akbar reign, Akbar tried to capture the Ahmednagar. And when Akbar tried to capture the Ahmednagar, you will find out Chand Bibi fought bravely against the Mughal army. And because of her effort for time being, Ahmednagar was not captured by the Mughal. And therefore, when we talk about Chand Bibi, for her bravery and the courage, she was called as a nightingale of India. Okay. So straight away you come to know it is the Chand Bibi. Fine. All good. Let's move on. Then we have question number 15. Okay. What was the objective of non-cooperation movement launched by the Mahatma Gandhi? I guess this is the most easiest of the lot, and such questions you should not make it incorrect in the exam. So all of non-cooperation movement was launched by the Mahatma Gandhi for 3 reasons. First, Khilafat wrong, and I hope all of you have read about Khilafat wrong. Then second, Punjab wrong. Okay, that is basically Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And third, we have the Swaraj, to achieve the Swaraj. Okay, and again understand, we have Mahatma Gandhi adopted the approach, various strategy to achieve the Swaraj, and obviously one of the approach was the boycott of British goods. All good. So this is what you have to understand. So if you come to know, obviously the objective was not complete independence, obviously not the Dominion status. Partition of Bengal, again Swadeshi, it is not connected with the non-cooperation movement. Straight away you come to know it is the fourth. Anyway, to boycott the British goods and the institution, and you know that out of all options we have just Swaraj in the only one. So again this is the concept that you need to apply. So again this is a very easy question if you are conceptually clear. Fine. Otherwise there are so many strategies to trap you by the examiner. Fine. All good. Now let's move to the next question. Again this question is connected with the Ramsay MacDonald Award. All of you know we have third round table conference, second round table conference, and in the second round table conference the Prime Minister of Britain, that is the MacDonald, he gave the separate electorate to the Dalit, and that is what we call the Ramsay MacDonald Award. Fine. All good. Obviously when we talk about Britishers, they first divided the Indians into the Hindu and Muslims, right, via the policy of separate electorate. Okay, so Government of India Act 1909 gave the separate electorate to the Muslims. I hope all of you have read. Now via the Ramsay MacDonald, you will find out the Britishers, they try to divide the Hindu community into the upper caste and the lower caste. Obviously, it is a part of the policy what we call as a divide and rule. Fine. So again, it is the extension of divide and rule policy. That's right. Mahatma Gandhi, he was against the untouchability. There is no doubt about it. Now, understand the MacDonald Award. He was, it wanted to create the differences between the upper caste and the lower caste. It was nothing, for the abolition of caste system. So that is not right. And obviously all of Ramsay MacDonald Award was modified by the Pune Pact, where Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi was ready for the joint electorate or reservation. Mahatma Gandhi, said, at any cost, I won't accept the separate electorate for the Dalit. And ultimately, a pact was signed between the B.R. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi, and this pact was called as a Pune Pact, right? So that's right. Fine. So we have to find out correct answers. 1, 2, 4. They are correct, while 3 is not correct, and therefore only 3 statements they are correct. Fine. So options B is the correct answer. Let's move on. Then next question 17. When we talk about question number 17, Sangam literature, all of Sangam period, the timeline of Sangam period is 300 BC to 300 AD. Fine. So when we talk about Sangam literature, all of you know, the entire Sangam literature is divided into the two part. You know, the Sangam assembly produced the Sangam literature, and Sangam literature is divided into the two part, Akam and Puram. Akam is basically those Sangam poem that have the theme of love, and Puram is basically based on the bravery or the valor. Fine. So in this way, entire Sangam literature is divided into the two part, Akam and the Puram. Fine, that's right. And why it is called as a Sangam, you know, Sangam period? Because, you know, Pandyan king, they invited all the poet to prepare the history of South India. So all poet, they actually assemble, and this assembly was called as a Sangam assembly, and the Sangam assembly, they prepared the Sangam literature, and Sangam literature is divided into the two part, Akam and the Puram. So both are very well connected, and therefore statement 1 and 2 both are correct, and they are the correct explanation. I hope now you got the idea. Let's move on. Then we have Rajput. Okay, so this question is associated with the Rajput and their geographical area. Chauhan, when we talk about Chauhan, they were prominent in the East Rajasthan. So if you look at the, you know, those area, it is in the East Rajasthan. Pariharas, they are in the South Rajasthan. Okay, so this is not right. Solankis, all of you know Solankis, they ruled from, you know, they were called Chalukyas of Solankis, and they ruled from Gujarat, and obviously Kathiawar is the right one. You know, Parmar, they ruled from Malwas, right? Parmar of Malwas. So this is the easiest of lot. So Parmar, they ruled from, you know, Malwa, not from the East Rajasthan. All of you know, the location of Rajasthan and Malwa is different, right? So therefore, now what we have to find out? Correctly match. Correctly match. So again, only one is the correctly match. 1, 2 and 4, they are not correctly matched, and therefore options A, only 1. I hope now you got the idea. Let's move on. Now, next question we have from the Indian philosophy. All of you know, we have 6 traditional school of philosophy, Samakhya, Vaisesika, they are prominent. You know, particularly UPSC rely on these two, Samakhya and the Vaisesika. Fine. Now, if you look at the Samakhya talk about two forces, you know, that is the Purus, okay, and then we have Prakriti, that is the nature. So the universe was the creation of, you know, creation or we can say interaction between the Purus, that is the human being, and the Prakriti. Okay, so the interaction between the Purus and the Prakriti actually led to the what we call the creation of the universe. All good. But when we talk about Samakhya actually argue how one can achieve the moksha. One can achieve the moksha by understand here, by when the Purus would realize that they are not the part of the Prakriti. Prakriti is different and we are different. Our enlightenment, our liberation is connected with the union with the God, and therefore understand it is the Samakhya. If you read the line, it is very clear. If you have read basic, easily you can make the guess. That's Samakhya. Fine, all good. Okay, let's move on. Next question. We have next question is associated with the Lord Rama temple. So again, understand the temple architecture is going to be very important topic this year, and the Lord Rama temple, very probable question for this year, right? All of you know, when we talk about India, we have 3 types of the temple architecture. We have Nagar in the north, right? Then we have Dravidian from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu. We have Dravidian temple architecture, and then we have Vesar from Deccan to Karnataka. We have Vesar. So any temple in the north, they are going to have the Nagar temple architecture. So it is not the Dravidian. This is the simple concept based question. I hope now this is clear to all of you. Ayodhya is located on the Saryu River, and the Saryu River southern bank, that's right. Okay. Now when we talk about again, see, granite you require for plinth, right? Because it is very hard one. Fine. And therefore, if you look at the statement, it is interchange here. Granite stone, because they are very hard one, it is utilized for the plinth. Okay, and the inlay work, inlay work is of the Bansi, Paharpur pink sandstone, because those sandstones, they look very good. So if you look at the upper part of the temple, they look pinkish in color, because the temple used the Bansi, Paharpur pink sandstones. The plinth is the granite. Okay, so this is the again architectural understanding that you should have. And all of there was a tremendous dispute, and finally Supreme Court gave its verdict when it said, when Supreme Court propounded that it was the temple, and they gave the order to build the temple. So again the Ram temple at Ayodhya was approved to be built under the Property Ownership Right Act, on the basis of which the Supreme Court gave this area to the temple, for the building the Lord Rama temple. Fine. So what we have to do? We have to find out correct, right? And if you look at the 1, 2 and 4, they are correct, and therefore only 3 statement is correct. Fine. Let's move on. Then we have a question from the Neolithic. Okay. So Neolithic, again all of it's a Stone Age. Mehergarh, when we talk about Mehergarh, we have discovered the rise from Mehergarh, no doubt about it, and we also have discovered the pit dwelling from the Mehergarh. So both are right. Okay. When we talk about Burj Home, see megalithic. When we talk about megalithic is was discovered in the peninsular India. So obviously it is not possible in the North India, right? So Burj Home, all of it is in the Kashmir. So there is no possibility of having the megalithic structure in the Burj Home. When we talk about Brahmagiri, understand, the urbanization in the south is very late phenomena. Okay, so Brahmagiri, obviously it is not the early site for the urbanization, not possible. Fine. When we talk about Chirand, again it do give the evidences of early agriculture, but it also give the idea of urban habitations, not the rural. Okay, and therefore this is also not right. Fine. And therefore what we have to find out, correctly match. Now only one pair is the correctly match. So therefore we have A1 only. Fine. Then we have next question associated with the coin. All good. So when we talk about Gupta coins were primarily made of bronze. We have very few bronze coin that is issued by the Gupta. Okay. So obviously it is not the most important metal that was used by the Gupta to create the coin. We have very few bronze coin. And understand, we have lots of the inscriptions and the symbols on the Gupta coin. That is one of the unique features of the Gupta coin, that we have lots of symbol. For example, Samudragupta was portrayed as an archer. There was a battle. Samudragupta was portrayed as playing the veena. So conceptually this is not correct, and therefore it is the incorrect. Again, one of the prominent Gupta king, Chandragupta II, Garud was the symbol of the Gupta, and all of Lord Garud basically is called as a vehicle of Lord Vishnu. Okay, and obviously so that's right. Okay, we have coin featuring the Garud symbol that was issued by the Chandragupta II. Fine, all good. Ancient Indian coin predominantly geometric pattern symbol. That's right. When we talk about the first coin of India, it is called as a Panchmark coin. Panchmark coin. What do you mean by Panchmark coin? Panch basically means punching. The mark or mark basically means symbol. So symbols were punched on the coin, and therefore this coin came to be called as a Panchmark coin. Right? So that's right. Okay. We do not have any portrait on the Panchmark coin. We just have this symbol. Fine. That's right. When we talk about Indo-Greek coin, we have not Sanskrit. Indo-Greek, they use the Pali language, not the Sanskrit. Okay. Pali and Greek were used. And when we talk about Kanishk coin, again we have large number of the silver coin that is issued by the Kanishk. That's right, but this is not right. Na? Indo-Greek, they use the Pali language, not the Sanskrit. Fine. And therefore, how many correct? Okay, we have to find out correct. How many correct? Only 2 correct. and therefore B, only 2 are correct. Fine. Okay, let's move on. Then we have next question. See, all of you know, when we talk about statement based question, there is no options that says both are incorrect, right? So if you come to know one is incorrect, therefore other one is definitely going to be the correct, right? So if you look at the second statement, the Kushana's empire administration favored the religious pluralism allowing for the coexistence of multiple faith within their territory. Now understand this point here. Kushanas, they were the follower of Buddhism. Most of the king, they were the followers of the Buddhism, no doubt about it. But at the same time, they were religiously tolerant. They were the follower of Buddhism, but they had no problem with the others' religion. But was it their administrative policy? See, I am a religious tolerant person, but it is my policy. These are two different things. And therefore, understand here, if you look at the Kushana's empire, the administrative policies, this is the very important word. This is the very important word that you should read. Okay, so Kushanas, definitely they were the tolerant, but it was not their policy to promote the multiple religion. Fine, and therefore this is not right. This is not correct, and therefore straight away you come to know statement 2 is incorrect. That is we have in the C options, and thus you come to know 73 C 2 is incorrect. Fine. Next we have question number 74. It is connected with the Maratha Empire, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And when we talk about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he introduced, he abolished the Jagirdar. Particularly the Deshmukh used to be the landlord. So he was against the Jagirdari system, that was, and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he tried to make direct contact with the peasant, the collection of land revenue directly from the peasant, and this is what similar to Rayatwari system that was pursued by the Britishers. So from that point of view, this is correct. Then we have Treaty of Raigad. No, understand, we have Treaty of Purandar. Treaty of Purandar was signed between the Jai Singh, who was sent by the Aurangzeb to defeat the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So Treaty of Purandar was signed between the Jai Singh and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and Jai Singh recognized the Shivaji as a ruler of Maratha Empire. On the other hand, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj surrendered the 23 fort out of 35 fort. Okay, and then there was a meeting between the Aurangzeb and the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So this is not right. It is the Treaty of Purandar after the Battle of Purandar. Fine. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was very much inspired by the Malik Ambar of Ahmednagar, and lots of the administrative mechanism was incorporated by the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj from the Malik Ambar, including the guerrilla warfare. So again, understand, so Malik Ambar, he had a kathi system. Kathi system to measure, there was a kathi or bamboo that was used to measure the land. And understand, when we talk about Maratha Empire, Chauth, Sardeshmukhi, these were the important taxes that were collected by the Marathas, and this was again inspired by the Malik Ambar Kathi system. That's right. Fine. Okay. In the administration, the police officers in the rural area, they were the Fauzdar, and in the urban area, they were called as a Kotwal. That's right. Okay. So we have, what we have to find out? We have to find out correct. 1, 3 and 4, they are correct, and therefore only only 3 is the correct answer. Fine. Let's move on. Question number 75 is a very difficult question, right? Very difficult. These are the Sangam literature, and then we have the consequent writer. Okay. So such type of question in the UPSC, if you have the clarity, then do it. Otherwise, do not attempt. The guesswork is not going to work here. Fine. They are very factual question, right? So all 1, 2, 3, 4, they are correctly matched here, and therefore D all 4. Fine. So these are the Sangam literature and the consequent writer. Fine. Okay. Now we have question number 76. So when we talk about 76, Rakhi Gadi, fire altar. No, we have not discovered the fire altar from the Rakhi Gadi. We have discovered the fire altar from Banawali, Kalibangan and Lothal. Okay. So these are the three area from where we have discovered the fire altar. So obviously it is not discovered from the Rakhi Gadi. Fine. In Banawali we have discovered a toy cart. That's very popular one. So that's right. Kalibangan we have discovered a plough field. Okay. And from there we come to know perhaps Harappan used the wooden plough. Fine. That is very, very important discovery, Kalibangan. And in Surkotoda there is a debate. Some of the scholars they argue we have discovered the horse remain from the Surkotoda. So from that point of view it is also right. So how many correct here? Okay, only 3. So 2, 3, 4 they are correct, and okay, this is the way you have to attempt this question number 76. I hope now this point is clear to all of you. Okay, so this is all from my side, and next Mr. Gaurav, who is a very renowned faculty, he will carry forward the question from the economy. Thank you very much.
Hello students, just give me a minute to settle down. Okay, I hope the voice is all right. Now, let us look at the next question, which should be from Indian economy. Yes. Okay students, so let us look at the Indian economy questions. My name is Gaurav Bansal, and I'm sure on this platform you are aware of me, you know me. So the question number 1 is regarding the active and the passive equity funds. Equity funds basically are a type of mutual funds only. So these are a type of mutual funds only. Mutual funds can be in equity or can be in debt. So we have 2 types of investment, equity or debt. They are both basically type of financial market instruments. Okay. Now, right now we are specifically talking about equity funds. The equity funds, if they are active, it means there is a fund manager, there is a person or there is a team which is managing the people's money. Now when we say active fund, the fund is generated from the clients. For example, in mutual fund we put some money. Okay, so for example, in different growth funds, in BlackRock, in Reliance, in some other which are some of the well-known mutual funds, or the SBI. In these mutual fund we put in some money. Let us say 1 lakh rupee I have invested in mutual fund. Now that become parts of the fund which the managers will invest. Okay. Now in an active fund there will be a team which will constantly monitor the markets, and the team will continue to shift between different stocks or different companies. So when they feel the Adani is going to rise, or Adani's companies are going to rise, they invest in those. If they feel these companies are going to fall, they take money out of them and put money elsewhere. So they actively manage the stocks on day-to-day basis, that is active equity fund. And in passive equity fund, the formula is very clearly known. You know, if I put my money into this fund, it will be fixed into different stocks. So for example, let us say there is a passive fund for energy sector in which it is very clear 20% of the money in Tata Power, 20% of the money in Reliance Power, 40% of the money in ONGC. I am giving you an example. So that will never change. If you put in 1 lakh rupee in that fund, it will automatically clear to you. It is equal to buying 40,000 rupees worth of ONGC share, let us say 20,000 rupees worth of share each in Reliance or Tata or NTPC, etc. So these are the way in which passive equity fund works. So your performance is very clearly linked to certain fixed equities, that doesn't change. So that is a passive fund. You do not have to intervene on day-to-day basis. They just follow certain stocks. So you got the idea. Now let us look at the question. Active equity funds aim to outperform the market index through strategic stock selection and market timing. That is correct. In the equity active fund, we try to get the better of the market. We try to outperform. We change the stocks in between our mix because we feel we can perform better than the passive. Okay. So that is active. Clear? First is correct. Second, passive equity fund aim to replicate the performance of specific market index. That is also correct, because in passive you are trying to get the same return as any given mix of stocks. So that is how the passive and active equity funds work. And answer should be C, both. So I hope this is clear. Let us move ahead. Question number 52. Consider the following statement regarding the digital public infrastructure. What do we mean by digital public infrastructure? So infrastructure generally we understand as power, we understand as transport. What is digital public infrastructure? So it can be certain data which can be used by anyone for the research purposes, for market analysis. Any data that government publishes in public domain becomes part of the digital public infrastructure. Okay, sometime it may not be exactly in public domain, but it will be accessible to any corporation which becomes part of that. So that is also possible. For example, Aadhaar data is now shared with a lot of corporations. Okay, they cannot directly access the data, but they can use third-party connection to the data for authentication. So that is also there. So we have this digital public infrastructure. Now Aadhaar data, for example, is a good you can say type of digital public infrastructure. So now it refers to the foundational system and services that are provided by the government and essential for the functioning of digital society. So that is correct. The Aadhaar data is now one of the key aspect of the certain services. For example, your mobile number, you just simply let us say get on the basis of your Aadhaar number or your thumb impression. Okay, so it can be on the basis of iris scan. Similarly, all the UPI transactions are also authenticated through Aadhaar once. So it is now a cornerstone of the society. You can't just simply, I mean, ignore it as something very let us say at idea stage or something very Aflatuni or something. Okay, so it's not like that. Now second, so first statement is correct. Second, DPI is exclusively used for the delivery of government services. This is wrong. I have given many examples where the data is used by private companies also, okay, but only for authentication. They cannot simply open the data, see Excel sheets and see data of people. That is not allowed to those companies. They can use that for authentication. For example, when you download any app and that app requires you to create a username. If you are using Android phones, you are aware of that. So there are thousands of apps on which we come across. Do we create username password for each of them? No. this has become such a nuisance that most of the company have now started relying on Google itself. So you can directly log in using your Gmail password and ID. You do not even have to put in your Google password and ID. You just need to authenticate with either your IPIN or whether your the pattern or thumb impression or whatever. So your Google data, all the data that is available with Google about you is not accessible to those third companies, but it can be used only for authentication. Just like that, Aadhaar data is used for authentication. Are we clear? There can be leaks in that. Somebody can mischievously try to hack that data, but by default it is not available. So ऐसा नहीं है कि वो data access नहीं किया जा सकता. There must be certain ways to hack it, and it should not be very difficult also. Okay, by the way, but it should not be so easily available either. It is not by default available to public. So that is how DPI is working for private sector. So it is one only because second statement is wrong. 53. I think this is purely a factual question about the reports. So we need not explain this particular one. So there are 3 reports which are published by RBI. The first, financial stability report, monetary policy report, and foreign exchange reserves report. These are the 3 which are published by RBI. Regional economic outlook report is, I think, published by the IMF, and the 7E report is not at all linked to these key organizations. So these are some other reports. Answer should be 1, 2 and 3B in this case. 54. Consider the following statement regarding peer-to-peer lending in India. So peer-to-peer lending is where I want to start a project and I have some idea, I have a startup. Now in that startup, we let us say want to raise some money as debt, as loan from others. So there are certain platforms on which we can publish our ideas, we can give detail about our ideas, and people can give us money directly through those platforms. One of the topmost platform in the world for that purpose is Kickstarter. I'm sure you have heard of that. If you have not heard of, at least visit it. एक UPSC aspirant को इतना awareness होना चाहिए. Okay, one UPSC aspirant or any UPSC aspirant should have idea of the biggest platform in the world about P2P or about crowdsourcing. It is the biggest crowdsourcing platform in the world, and crowdsourcing can be of 2 types, in which P2P is also very common. Okay. Now, peer-to-peer lending platforms are allowed to accept deposits from the public. This is not correct because these lending platforms are not allowed to accept deposit. They only act as facilitator. आप पैसा Kickstarter को नहीं दे सकते. Kickstarter cannot directly ask you money. You do not give money to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is only a platform through which you give money to the company which you want to support. Okay, just like eBay. You never paid money to eBay, you paid money to the other party from which you were buying on the eBay. Second, the main advantages of P2P are that it often provides access to unsecured personal loans. That is wrong. In Indian context, this is restricted. You cannot ask for personal money. आप ये वहाँ पे जाके नहीं कह सकते कि मुझे 1 लाख की जरूरत है, मुझे पैसा दे दो. It's not never like that. Only a startup can ask money for business investment. Okay, it is not for unsecured personal loan at all. Third, P2P lending platforms are permitted to offer guaranteed returns to lender. This is also wrong. There can never be guaranteed returns offered from the lenders. Some of the lenders were doing it, by the way. Some people were doing it, but that was restricted by RBI. RBI was not happy with that idea because there were many frauds happening on these P2P platforms. That's why ultimately RBI banned this. This is not allowed in India. Okay, and in most of the countries, by the way, this is not allowed because this is not a healthy practice. P2P एक simple चीज है, startup को promote करने के लिए बना है. उस प्लेटफॉर्म का मिसयूज करना कि मुझे पैसा चाहिए, मैंने वहां से जाके उधार ले लिया, या हम गारंटीड रिटर्न्स के प्रोग्राम चला रहे हैं, उस सब के लिए P2P लेंडिंग नहीं है. फॉर दैट वी हैव बैंकिंग. उसके लिए हमारा बैंकिंग सेक्टर है. So I hope this question is clear. Only one is correct here. A should be the answer. Now just give me 1 second, please. I just need to fetch a glass of water. Now, the next question is about Mir payment system. This is a system used by Russia. Okay. Now, this is a payment system through which their internal banking and some of their international banking linkages work. Okay. So just like you can say Rupee system is there in India, it is similar to that. It is a domestic payment system launched by Central Bank of Japan. Wrong, it is Russian, I have told you. Mir cards are primarily used for domestic transactions within Japan. No. Third, it operates on the basis of magnetic stripe technology similar to traditional credit and debit card. That is correct. It is simply a card. So it of course work on the basis of similar type of technology. Now it can be a chip card, it can be an NFC card. Of course, even traditional cards are changing to that. So that is possible, but generally that is the idea. So it should be only 1A. And the correct option is 3 for 55. Yes. 56, Operation Greens. I think this is also a plain factual direct question. I need not discuss this. And it is also not very difficult to identify. So we have basically, what is the focus area of Operation Green? Improve the supply chain management of perishable crop. This is a correct answer, by the way. Then B, promoting sustainable energy. C, improving healthcare. D, strengthening our infrastructure for transportation. So since it is about agriculture, it is not very difficult. It could have been more difficult if all the 4 options were about agriculture and you had to pick within agriculture that which is more suitable for this. So Operation Greens is launched within the Sampada Yojana, and it is also aimed at strengthening of the farmer produce organizations as well. So that is how broadly it works. Then 57, consider the following statement regarding the government debt in India. Okay, the overall government debt as a percentage of GDP has shown a declining trend over the past decade. This is wrong. The trend is that, let me discuss this briefly. The debt to GDP ratio we are talking about. So debt to GDP ratio decreased almost continuously between 2002 to 2009. Then from 2009 to 2012, there is a slight increase, moderate increase, not too much of an increase. Then from 2013 up to 2018, it falls again. Okay, so if we take the last decade, then from 2013 to 2018, the debt to GDP ratio falls. But after 2019 to 2021, for these 3 years, debt to GDP ratio increased. And the reason was, first of all, introduction of GST, which was not very successful in the beginning because our revenues fell down. We expected a certain amount of revenue from GST, but we didn't get the expected number. So this was a loss in the government revenue, or government had to borrow more to cover up for that loss of revenue. So that was one of the reason in 2019 particularly. Okay, in the 17-18 financial year, GST was launched, and since it was launched mid-year, the first impact assessment year was 19, and in that we had to borrow more just to cover up for the losses created by GST. Today GST is giving us bumper revenue. Today GST is giving us 2 lakh per month, 2 lakh crore per month, I mean. So, but at that time it was not even giving 1 lakh crore per month. So that was the problem. Then 2020 was the year of COVID, and 21 was also affected by COVID. For these 2 years, we had to spend a lot of money in government programs, subsidies, plus the companies were given exemption on tax, interest rate, etc. So that is why the borrowing increased by a record margin. So our debt to GDP ratio increased significantly between 19 to 2021. So almost 47% to almost 63%. our debt to GDP ratio increased by 16% in these 3 years. This is a massive increase, by the way. Between 2013 to 18, it decreased from almost 54% to 47%. So it was decreasing by almost 1% per year. Between 2002 and 9, it decreased from almost 61% to 53%. Then between 9 to 12, I said moderately increased, so 52 to 54 it increased. आपको इतने नंबर याद नहीं रखने, ये इम्पॉसिबल है. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू फॉर द रेफरेंस सेक. मैं आपको पूरा एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए इतना डेटा दे रहा हूँ. You cannot remember all this data by any chance, by the way. What you can remember are trends. Okay, so I remember because I teach that subject for 10 years or more, by the way. So that is why I remember. I have by-hearted all the data by constantly repeating them class after class in different batches. A student, however, can be expected to know the broader trend that debt to GDP ratio declined, okay, roughly in the first term of the NDA currently, okay, or Modi 1. In Modi 2, the debt to GDP ratio increased because that was a very tough period for economy. There were number of international issues in that period. And now our debt to GDP ratio is falling. Now from 2021, Indian economy is performing exceedingly well. And from 2021 onwards, since we recovered from the second wave, since the vaccination started in India, economic performance is very good. Now, option 2, proportion of external debt in India's total government debt is significantly higher compared to domestic debt. This is wrong. External debt is only 20% in our total debt. So this is a plain fact. I do not have to explain this further. Third, Reserve Bank of India play a crucial role in managing the domestic debt. This is also correct. RBI doesn't manage the external debt, by the way. That is directly managed by the Ministry of Finance. RBI manages only the domestic debt, that is the government bonds which are issued to the financial system in India. So this is all about 57. Only the statement 3 is correct. Answer should be C. Next, 58. Next is also a very plain direct technical question which I do not have to explain. This is a very clear term, dot plot. Okay, इसका कोई बहुत logic नहीं होता. Just because it is called dot plot, it is called dot plot. Everything has a certain name, or every phenomena has a certain name. Just like that, it is a name. Okay, there is no logic why it is specifically called dot plot as such. Of course, there are lot of, if you plot the graph, it will look like lot of dots in one particular area. Okay, so it will look like this, that we are plotting certain dots. Okay, so something, so graph will look like that. That's why it is called dot plot. The answer in this case is, it is the chart which represents the interest rate projections by a member of the central bank. So C is the answer. So all the bank and the financial institution display and project what are their interest rates going to be. And if you plot them, they are not very different from each other. Hence, we get all the dots within a certain area. So that's all. It's C. 59. It is about the contribution of industry to India's GDP. Statement 1. Industrial sector contribution of industrial sector to Indian GDP has been increasing over past 2 decades steadily. Wrong. Only in the last 3 years it is steadily increasing, or it was increasing between 2002 to 2009, not in between. 2. The manufacturing subsector is largest within industry. That is correct. When we talk about industry or the secondary sector, we have to include mining in the secondary sector. Okay, we have to include construction, we have to include metallurgy, and let us say manufacturing. Manufacturing has the biggest share in the industry. Third, the industrial sector growth rate has been consistently higher than the services. This is wrong, because services sector has been the leading sector of India, has been the best performing sector of India. So third is wrong. Only 2 is correct. B should be the answer. 60. It is a question about the trend of agriculture exports. So first is, export of marine product from India has consistently shown positive trend. This is wrong. There is a random number here. Sometimes it increase, sometimes it decrease. So we do not have a consistently increasing number in marine exports. Fisheries and other seafood export from India. it is highly variable. So there is no trend as such. So first is wrong. Second, basmati rice has a significant portion in agriculture export. That is correct. Basmati rice are one of the biggest agriculture export from India. Okay. So cotton is the biggest export, which is exported to lot of other countries. For example, Bangladesh is one of the biggest buyer of Indian cotton, and there are many other countries. So cotton sometimes is the top export of from Indian agriculture. Sometimes it is even basmati rice also. Okay, and yes, it is significant. So second statement is correct. For 60 it is only 2B. 61, it is about the Rupee-Dirham agreement between India and UAE. Okay, so the first statement is the creation of local currency settlement system has enabled exporters and importers to invoice and pay in their respective domestic currencies. That is correct. Okay, this is question number 94. So that is correct. You have to create a nostro-vostro system in which our banks can open accounts of the people from UAE, and the UAE bank can open account for the people of India which are linked to the corresponding bank account in other countries. For example, I have bank account in SBI here. Now some of the UAE bank can give me an nostro-vostro arrangement. In that case, if I am opening my account in the UAE, from UAE perspective it will be called the vostro account. Okay, so that is the system in which we can pay through the Indian rupee itself. Okay, मेरे Indian SBI account से directly rupee deduct होंगे, and the person to whom I have to make payment in UAE, they will get a check in dirham within UAE. Okay, so उनको मेरे UAE account का dirham का check मिल जाएगा, and through the internal arrangement between RBI, sorry not RBI, SBI and that bank in UAE, let us say some let us call it A bank. So let us say A bank and SBI have arrangement in which they will arrange the currency transfer. Similarly, somebody have to pay money in India from UAE, they can also do the same. वो अपने बैंक अकाउंट में UAE में दिरहम जमा करेंगे, इंडिया में कोई भी रुपये का चेक मिल जाएगा उसे. Okay? Now, second, the agreement mandate all trade transaction between India and UAE must be in rupee and AED. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong, because we can trade in a traditional manner also through the dollar. It is not necessary. It is only a support tool. If someone wants to trade in the local currency, that is allowed. So second statement has to be wrong. It is one only. 95. Following statement regarding credit rating agencies in India. Okay. First, it is they are regulated by RBI Regulation Act 1949. That is correct. Second, credit rating agency evaluate and rate the credit worthiness of debt securities only. Yes, that is correct. They check the credit worthiness of bonds, okay, not the equities. They do not give ratings to the equities. So it is for bonds. So debt securities is correct. Third, investor pay model is a major concern about functionality of CRA in India. That is also correct, by the way. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute, sorry. Investor pay model is not the problem here. No, in fact, in this question we have to see. The credit rating agencies are regulated by RBI Regulation Act 1949. No, this is not correct. Just give me 1 minute, please. I mixed up certain facts here, I think. Just let me correct. The first statement is also wrong, by the way. It is not RBI Act. I was doubtful about it in the beginning, actually. So, because the credit rating agencies are part of capital market, so it is SEBI. Yes, it should be SEBI, not RBI. So that is wrong. The second one, the credit rating agencies evaluate and rate the credit worthiness of debt securities only. In fact, this is also wrong, because there can be some credit rating agencies which do evaluate the equities also. So that is also wrong. and investor pay model is a concern. That is wrong actually. Investor pay model is not a problem. Problem is company pay model. Okay, investor pay model, let me talk about this model system. The modeling system is such that, the payment model system is such that from where credit agency get the payment. So if I am issuing bond, okay, if I am issuing equity and I pay money to a credit rating agencies to evaluate it, then there is a conflict of interest. I can pay them more to give me better rating. That is where we have inherent conflict. I hope you are getting it. अगर कोई बॉन्ड है तो उसकी क्रेडिट रेटिंग के लिए क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसी को जो पैसा मिलता है वो उसी कंपनी से मिल रहा है जिसका वो बॉन्ड है. सो क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसीज हैव ए कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बिकॉज दे हैव टू please their client. A business always try to please their client. So there would always be some inherent bias, some bias to give them better rating, okay, to get more clients. So instead of that, if I am buying certain bond, if I am buying certain equity, I should be paying them, not that issuer. If investor pay, then that is actually a good thing. So it is not a concern. Okay, so it should be D 1, 2 and 3. Which of the following statement, which of the statement given above are incorrect? So all of them are incorrect, by the way. I apologize, I mistakenly read the answer here and I was doubtful, yet I discussed the statement. So 96. Consider the following statement regarding EMV cards. So again a purely factual question, you can check the hints in this case. I need not explain because this is again very specifically a technical thing. So the first statement is incorrect, okay, that they are only used for contact transactions and do not support contactless. They can be supporting contactless. For example, online we can pay through a debit card, credit card or EMV card, okay. So likewise, then EMV chips are exponentially more secure than the magnetic stripes on the card. That is correct. Okay, so 1 is incorrect, 2 only is correct. B should be the answer for 96. 97. Voluntary retention route VRR introduced by RBI. So it is basically introduced for the foreign portfolio investors, companies which invest in India from abroad. Okay, so it is aimed to attract long-term and stable foreign investments into Indian debt market. So yes, it is aimed at improving the stability and it gives companies an option to keep their money in India. So first statement is correct, it attracts the long-term and stable foreign investments. Second, under VRR, foreign investors have complete freedom to invest in all segments of the Indian debt market without any restrictions. No, that is not correct. There are restrictions under any scheme, under any point there is a restriction. So there are restrictions, for example, where they will be restricted as per the macroeconomic prudentials. In certain sectors where macroeconomically there is more risk, they are not allowed to invest. So and there are certain additional points. Third, the investment made through VRR are subject to minimum retention period and that shall be 3 years. That is correct. So there are incentive for foreign companies, foreign investors to keep money in Indian stock market. If they keep their money for the long term, then government gives them additional incentives, some tax incentives, withdrawal, immediate withdrawal facilities likewise. Okay, so that is what attract more investors. That is why it is attracting more long-term and stable investments. So it should be 1 and 3, C for 97. Yes. 98. International Energy Agency, IEA. It was established in response to the 1973 oil crisis and it is headquartered in Paris, France. So that is correct. So before International Energy Agency, what was created? OPEC, oil producing and exporting countries, and it increased the oil prices 7 times. oil prices were $5 per barrel, and after creation of OPEC, it became $35 per barrel. And by the way, there is an interesting history to it. There is a Yom Kippur war, and recently, since there is a conflict between Israel and Palestine, you must be aware of some of the history between Israel and the Palestine. So in 1973, there was Yom Kippur war. Yom Kippur is a very important Jewish festival. I will not go in too much into history because that will extend the discussion. So during that Yom Kippur festival, there was an attack on Israel by number of countries, Arab countries combined. And since Arab countries lost to Israel for the third time or maybe fourth time, 3 proper wars and 4th small insignificant war which sometimes do not count, but there are 3 major wars. Okay, the first, the Israelis independent declaration, in which all the Arab neighbors attacked them. Then the second 6-day war, in which they took the Sinai Peninsula, and then the Yom Kippur war. When Arab countries became clear we cannot defeat Israel, then they wanted to punish entire Western world by increasing oil prices. So that was OPEC. And when OPEC was created, immediately there was an oil crisis in the world, and as a response to that crisis, International Energy Agency was created. Clear now? So first point is correct. Second, membership in IEA is open to all countries. So that is wrong. It is not open to all countries. It is a body which is chartered or linked to the OECD. Okay, it is a charter of OECD. Within OECD framework it performs. So your International Energy Agency can have members only which are already part of OECD, because those at that time the punishments were aimed at Western countries. That's why. Third, the IEA publishes the World Energy Outlook. That is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct here. 99. Agriculture Orientation Index. Okay, so Agriculture Orientation Index, by the way, is ratio of the government expenditure on agriculture divided by agriculture GVA. Just 1 minute, please. Now, government's agriculture expenditure divided by agriculture GVA. So all the output of agriculture with ratio to government's expenditure on agriculture. So it is a measure used by the FAO, okay, which is a big organization, to assess the level of government expenditure on agriculture with relative to the sector's contribution to the GDP. This is correct. Then AOI value greater than 1 indicates that government is spending more on agriculture. That is obviously correct. We take a ratio. For example, government's budget is 100 rupee. Out of 100, government spend 22 rupees on agriculture, whereas in GDP, agriculture has 18% share. So in GDP, agriculture is 18 out of 100, whereas in government expenditure, it is 22. It means government is spending more on agriculture compared to its contribution to GDP. That is what the second statement is talking about. So second is also correct. More than 1, it shows government expenditure is more. Third, it is calculated by dividing the, I've already told the formula. So 1, 2 and 3 all are correct in this case. 99. Yes. $100. Consider the following pairs of cooperative diversification and their strategies. So, horizontal diversification, new products or services that are complementary to the core business. Yes, that is correct. In the same horizon, we are spreading. Okay, if I am making agriculture machinery, I expand more into food processing machinery now. Okay, it is part of the similar domain. Concentric diversification, new products which have technological or marketing synergy within the existing product. That is correct. That I am now developing something which is related to my product. I am making agriculture machinery. Now I can make other type of machineries because I have expertise in machinery. So now I am expanding on the basis of product, not the sector. So In the second case, I will focus, the diversification is based on my technical expertise. In the first, the diversification is based on my supply chain. This is the difference. The third, conglomerate diversification, new products or services that are entirely different or unrelated. That is also correct, by the way. Big companies can start almost anything. Reliance one day wanted to start telephone services, it started. Then it wanted to start the internet service, it started. Reliance is in retail also, although the original business of Reliance is, original business I am talking about, that is textile. Reliance was one of the top company in India in the beginning to produce nylon. Okay, so that was their original business in the 70s and 80s. Then they got into petroleum refinery, etc. So anyways, I'm not discussing Reliance here. You got the idea. Conglomerate diversification. Tata has motor, Tata also has consultancy services. Then fourth, vertical diversification. Expand in a backward or forward direction along the production chain of your product. That is also correct, by the way. So same product, same technology, same client, I am expanding for them, I am giving extra things to them. So all four are correct. Okay, and with this I have completed the Indian economy portion, and I welcome Mr. Rajyavardhan to continue the discussion on.
Hello everyone. So we will be discussing about environment questions firstly, and then we'll discuss about science and technology question. So first question from environment is question number 21. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, desiccation tolerant vascular plants can survive with limited water resources. So this term desiccation tolerant vascular plants means those vascular plants which are able to live even in extreme dry conditions, right? So they can tolerate extreme hydration as well, right? And as they have that kind of tolerance, obviously they will be able to survive in limited water resources, and that's why statement number 1 is correct. Desiccation tolerant plants are those plants which can survive in extreme hydration conditions, that means limited water conditions. So first statement is correct. Statement 2, in tropical regions they are the predominant occupants of rock outcrops. Now again, this is one important term. Rock outcrops are those rocks which are visible exposures of the bedrock, right? So bedrock from which soil is formed, when that bedrock is exposed because of various kinds of geographic events, that rock, exposed bedrock, is called as rock outcrop. And as that exposed bedrock is drier in nature, obviously these desiccation tolerant species of plants would be able to grow on these bedrocks, which are called as rock outcrops, right? So I explain this once more. Rock outcrops are the visible portions of the bedrock, and bedrock being a drier region, obviously we will be able to see desiccation tolerant plants in and around bedrocks. So second statement, which says that in tropical regions they are predominant occupants of bedrock or the rock outcrops, are correct, is correct statement, right? So statement 2 is also a correct statement, and it gives more information about statement 1, and that's why we will be going with option A, which is both the statements are correct and statement 2 gives more information about, or it is a correct explanation of statement 1, and that's why answer of this question is A. Question number 21, answer is A. Next now. Next question. Question number 22. Which among the following reserve was the only one across India to record 0 tigers in both the 2018 and 2022 census, and it is Dampa Tiger Reserve which is there in Mizoram. So it is information based question. In 2018 as well as in 2022 tiger census, there is one tiger reserve where we do not have any tiger individual, and that is Dampa Tiger Reserve which is there in the state of Mizoram. So answer of this question is C. Next now, question number 23. 23 is regarding the diversity for restoration tool. Diversity for restoration tool, consider the following statements. First, D4R, that is diversity for restoration, is a tool developed by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, that is IUCN. This statement is incorrect statement because D4R tool is developed by Biodiversity International. It is developed by Biodiversity International. It is not developed by IUCN, and that's why first statement is an incorrect statement, right? Second, it is designed to assist in promoting effective agroforestry and ecosystem restoration. So diversity for restoration is focusing on effective agroforestry and ecosystem restoration, and that's why second statement is correct statement. So only second statement is correct, and that's why answer of this question is B, 2 only. Question number 23, answer is B. 23 answer is B. Next now, 24. 24. Consider the following statements regarding animal ecosystem. First, animal species can camouflage themselves through pigments and physical structure. Camouflaging means to get resemblance with the external environment, and as a result of that, it would be difficult for the predators of that particular species to see that species, or to make sure that one species is able to protect itself from its predators based on the change in color pattern, right? So it may change color so that it will be able to protect itself from the predator, right? So first statement is animal species can camouflage themselves through pigments and physical structure. That statement is correct statement, right? So they can camouflage themselves, that means they can hide themselves by changing color or with the help of some physical structures. First statement is correct. Second, when a chameleon is threatened, it changes color to blend into its surrounding, right? So chameleon means girgit. If we talk about chameleon in Hindi, it is girgit. So for second statement is incorrect statement. Why? Because yes, chameleon, they are known for changing their colors, but they change their color in order to communicate. They do not change their color when they are threatened, right? So second statement is incorrect statement. They change their color when they want to communicate something, not when they are threatened, and that's why second statement is incorrect. Third, many animals such as octopus camouflage themselves in response to a threat. So octopus, yes, they camouflage themselves in order to protect themselves from the predators. That means when they see any kind of threat, they will change the color. So third statement is a correct statement. So first and third statements are the correct statements, and that's why answer is C. Question number 24, answer is C. Next, 25. Consider the following statements. First, the critical tiger habitats comes under the purview of the Forest Rights Act 2006. So you must be aware, tiger reserves are created under Wildlife Protection Act, and that's why critical tiger habitat, that means the core region of the tiger reserves, falls under Wildlife Protection Act, not under Forest Rights Act, and that's why first statement is incorrect. So it is under Wildlife Protection Act 1972, right? So first statement is incorrect. Second, in India, the critical tiger habitat cover around 1/4 of the area under national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So that statement is a correct statement regarding the critical tiger habitat. It covers almost 1/4 of the areas of national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Second statement is correct. we are supposed to find out correct statement. Answer is B. 25, answer is B. Next now, 26. With reference to the HE biodiversity targets, consider the following statement. So, HE biodiversity targets are important because recently they have been replaced by, not recently, in 2022 they have been replaced by Global Biodiversity Framework, and that is why those HE targets which were supposed to be implemented during 2010 to 20 are also important, right. So, first statement, national biodiversity strategies and action plans were developed by parties to support the delivery of strategic plan and deliver the HE targets. So, first statement is correct statement. Why? Because HE targets are the international targets, and to implement them one should have, a particular country should have its own action plan, and that is being done under National Biodiversity Strategies and Action Plan. First statement is correct. Second, these targets were established by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, that is CITES. This statement is incorrect statement because you must be aware HE targets are for CBD, UNCBD, United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. Second statement is incorrect. Third, it consists of 20 specific targets to address and mitigate biodiversity loss across the globe, right. So, that statement is correct. There are 20 targets, and those targets are divided into 5 strategic goals. So, third statement is correct. Fourth, the Convention on Biological Diversity, that is CBD, adopted the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework recently by replacing CBD's HE targets. That statement we have already discussed. So, only second statement is incorrect. First, third and fourth are correct statements. We are supposed to find out correct statements, and that is why answer of this question number 26 is D. Question number 26, answer is D. Next now, 27. 27. Regarding the National Bioenergy Program, consider the following statements. First, under the Waste to Energy Program, the Central Financial Assistance will set up large biogas, bio-CNG and power plants, including municipal solid waste. MSW stands for municipal solid waste, MSW to power projects. Now, under waste to energy, yes, we are trying to use waste for the production of energy, but that does not include municipal solid waste, and that's why first statement which says that the waste to energy program will provide funds for large biogas, bio-CNG and power plants, including MSW, is incorrect. It should be excluding MSW, municipal solid waste, excluding municipal solid waste. So, first statement is incorrect statement. Second, the bio-CNG component of the program supports the Satat initiative of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. So, Satat is sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation. Obviously, for Satat kind of initiative, we are looking for the energy sources which have lesser cost compared to fossil fuel, and that is why under the bio-CNG component of the program, that is the waste to energy program or the national bioenergy program, obviously it will have some kind of relation with the Satat initiative of the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and that is why second statement is also correct statement. Third, the Central Finance Assistance aims to set up pellets and briquettes for use in power generation and non-baggage based power generation projects under the biomass program. So, that statement is also a correct statement. The biomass that is getting produced will be converted into pellets and these briquettes in order to use that biomass for the production of energy. So, third statement is also correct statement. Fourth, under the biogas program, the government will set up biogas plants from 1 to 2,500 cubic meters of biogas per day. That statement is also correct statement. So, second, third and fourth statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is C. Question number 27, answer is C. Only 3 statements are correct. First statement is incorrect statement because under the National Bioenergy Program, municipal solid waste is excluded. So 27th question, answer is C. Next, 28th. 28th, consider the following statements. First, the polymer waste is being disposed through pyrolysis and plasma gasification process. So polymer waste includes the plastic waste, waste generated from sanitary operations and all, right. So in polymer waste or the polymer waste, yes, it is disposed using pyrolysis and plasma gasification. Pyrolysis is heating of this polymer waste at a very high temperature in order to produce the fuel, right. And in plasma gasification, we produce syngas which can be used for the energy generation, right. So first statement is correct statement. Second, the petro alternate fuel, that is PAF, is also known as pyrolysis oil, right. So when we heat the waste at a very high temperature, we get various gases, and when we convert those gases into oil, we get a pyrolysis oil, and that pyrolysis oil is also known as petro alternate fuel, and that's why second statement is also correct statement. First and second statements are correct. Third, the crude pyrolysis oil after purification can be used in industrial boilers and generators. So that is correct statement. When we purify the pyrolysis oil, we can use it for various operations like in industrial boilers and generators. Fourth, the plasma gasification process converts the waste into syngas, which is released into atmosphere. So this statement is incorrect statement. The plasma gasification process converts the waste into syngas, that is fine, which is utilized, not released. If we have to release it in the atmosphere, why we will produce it, right? And that's why the syngas that is produced after plasma gasification is utilized, not released in the atmosphere. So fourth statement is incorrect statement, and that's why answer is again C. Only 3 statements are correct statements. So 28th answer is C. Next, 29th. Consider the following statements about marshlands, right. So marshlands are a kind of wetland. First statement, a marsh is a type of wetland where water covers the ground for long periods. Correct statement. Second, unlike swamps which are dominated by trees, marshes are usually treeless and dominated by grasses and other herbaceous plants. That statement is also a correct statement. So we have 2 major types of in fact 3 major types of wetlands. First is swamp. Swamps are dominated by trees, marshes are dominated by grasses, and we have one more, they are called as bog. They are dominated by partially decomposed organic matter. So second statement is also correct. Third, they are formed by flooding of coastal lowlands from rising sea levels has created broad coastal marshes that are protected from wave action by barrier islands or reefs, right. So that statement is correct. They are often formed by flooding of the coastal lowlands, and they are protected from the wave action by the barrier islands or reefs, coral reefs. Fourth, in India, the Run of Kutch is one of the largest salt marshlands which is located near the Pakistan border. Correct statement. All four statements are correct. We are supposed to find out incorrect statements. None of them is incorrect, and that's why answer is D. Question number 29, answer is D. Next, 30th question. Which one of the following program/project aims to discourage and ultimately reduce the number of wildlife crimes through better enforcement of EU environmental regulations and more successfully prosecuted crimes, helping thus restoring the endangered European biological diversity and ecosystem health? So out of these projects or programs, which is the program that helps to reduce crime against wildlife in the European countries? And answer of this question is A. It is Life Swipe project. It is Life Swipe project, and here SWIPE stands for Successful Wildlife Crime Prosecution. Successful Wildlife Crime prosecution in Europe. Right, so that is what is swipe project, life swipe project of the European Union, right. So answer of this question is A. Next now, 30th question, answer is A. 77th. How many of the following statements are correct? First, the Terai arc landscape is spread across the Indian states of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and low-lying hills of Nepal. Correct statement, right. So location of Terai is in that region only. Second, approximately 1/3 of the wild tiger population in India is found across the Terai arc landscape. This statement is an incorrect statement because it's not 1/3, it is approximately 22% of the wild tigers we have in Terai arc landscape. So second statement is incorrect. Third, tiger reserves and protected areas such as Valmiki Tiger Reserve and Nepal's Bardoya Wildlife Sanctuary, Chitwan National Park are located in the Terai belt region. That statement is correct statement. So only first and third statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is B, only 2. 77, answer is B. Next, 78. Consider the following statements regarding corals. First, warmer water temperatures can result in coral bleaching. So that is correct statement. We know that corals have very narrow temperature tolerance range, and that's why if temperature of water goes beyond that range, there will be death of coral, or there will be dissociation between coral polyps and algae, zooxanthellae algae, and that event is called as coral bleaching. First statement is correct. Second, coral reefs protect coastlines from storms and erosion, provide jobs for local communities and offer recreation opportunities. So we receive number of services from coral reefs, and these are some of the services like protection from storms and erosion, livelihood opportunities, tourism, recreation, etc. Third statement, the Great Barrier Reef is located across the northwest coast of Australia. This statement is incorrect because Great Barrier Reef is located in northeast coast of Australia, not southwest coast. So second statement is incorrect. Third statement is incorrect. Fourth, in India, the coral reefs are present in the areas of the Gulf of Kutch, Gulf of Mannar, Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep Islands and Malvan. That statement is a correct statement. So only third statement is incorrect statement. First, second and fourth statements are correct, and that's why answer of this question is C. 78, answer is C. Next now, 79. Regarding the agreement on new biodiversity conservation fund under the 64th Global Environment Facility, consider the following statement. So, at the 64th Global Environment Facility, a separate fund for the conservation of biodiversity has been established, which was firstly proposed in the COP of UNCBD called as Kunming COP. First statement, the implementation of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework adopted under this agreement, right? So this statement is correct. Second, indigenous people and local communities will get 20% of the funds under this agreement. That statement is also a correct statement. Second statement is also correct. Third, the GEF is a multilateral family of funds dedicated to confronting biodiversity loss, climate change and pollution, and supporting land and ocean health. That statement is correct statement because you must be aware Global Environment Facility is a common fund for various conventions like UNFCCC, UNCBD, UNCCD, then Stockholm Convention on POPs, and even UNCLOS, that is United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. All these 5 conventions and protocols, they get their funding from GEF. So all 3 statements are correct statements. We are supposed to find out incorrect statement. None of them is incorrect, and that's why answer is D. 79, answer is D. Next now, 80. Consider the following statements about gibbons. First, gibbons inhabit tropical and subtropical forests in southeast of Asia, correct statement. Second, Gibbon's shoulder joints are even specifically adapted to allow a greater range of motion when when swinging. So that statement is also correct statement, and that's why they are able to live on the trees in a better way. So second statement is correct. Third, in Assam, the Holongapar Gibbon Sanctuary is a habitat of the endangered western Holok gibbon. Holok gibbon is the only ape species that we have in India, and in Assam there is a sanctuary called as Holongapar Gibbon Sanctuary for the protection, for the conservation of Holok gibbon. Third statement is also correct. Fourth, the western Holok gibbon is listed as vulnerable under the IUCN Red List, while the eastern Holok gibbon is listed as endangered. It is reverse. Western is endangered and eastern is vulnerable, and that's why fourth statement is incorrect. First three statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is C, only 3. 80th question, answer is C. Next now, 81. With reference to the Commission on Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, consider the following statements. First, CGRFA, that is Commission on Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, is the permanent intergovernmental body that deals with all components of biodiversity for food and agriculture. That statement is correct statement. Second, the Commission seeks global agreement on sustainable land use, conservation and fair sharing of benefits from genetic resources for food and agriculture. That is also correct statement. Third, India is an observer member of this commission. This is incorrect because India is a full member, not an observer member. So third statement is incorrect statement. First two statements are correct, and that's why answer of this question is B, only 2. 81, answer is B. Next, 82. Consider the following statements regarding groundwater contamination. First, nutrient pollution caused by excess nitrogen and phosphorus in water can cause algal bloom. So that statement is correct statement. This statement is correct irrespective of the groundwater contamination, because we know that when there is excessive amount of nitrogen and phosphorus, there will be algal bloom, and that event is called as eutrophication. First statement is correct. Second, in farms, the intensive use of chemical fertilizers results in leaching of the residual nitrate, causing high nitrate concentration in groundwater. That statement is correct statement, because when there is excessive use of chemical based fertilizers, there will be leaching, polluting groundwater. Third, many states in India have groundwater that is contaminated with unsafe levels of fluorides, arsenic and uranium. That statement is also correct statement. Fluoride, arsenic and uranium are the major contaminants that are found in groundwater. Third statement is correct. Fourth, states like Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and Haryana reported traces of heavy metals such as lead, cadmium, zinc and mercury as per the reports of Center for Science and Environment. Right, so that statement is correct. In states like Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and Haryana, we have presence of heavy metals in the groundwater as well. So all four statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question number 82 is D, all 4. Question number 82, answer is D, all 4. Next now, 83. Consider the following statements regarding increased pollutants in air. First, estimate of mercury levels and exposure for pregnant women and newborn babies in selected coastal and South Indian cities. So this statement is correct statement, right? So it's little ambiguous statement, but we'll consider it as correct statement. Second, bioavailability of dioxin like polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxin and furan released due to combustion of electronic waste. And when we burn electronic waste, as they are made up of plastic, the burning of plastic of these electronic waste leads to emission of these kind of pollutants. So second statement is correct. Second statement is correct statement. Third, Air quality impact on respiratory health due to crop residue burning in close proximity to residential areas adversely affect respiratory health, right. So, it is a general observation, if there is burning of the crop residue, obviously there will be impact on the health of people. Fourth, health effects of chronic exposure to smoke from biomass fuel burning in rural households, right. So, health impacts of biomass burning are there. So, all 4 statements are correct statements, and that is why answer of this question is D, right. So, little ambiguous question, this is because the statements are not very clear, they are not very clearly mentioned. So, answer of this question number 83 is D. So, that is about our discussion of environment questions. Now, we will discuss questions from science and technology. 31. First question from science and technology is question number 31. Which of the following is not a characteristic of quartet nanocage vaccine? So, quartet nanocage vaccine is a new technology for the development of vaccine, where nanoparticles are used, and those nanoparticles are attached with various kinds of antigens. Antigens are foreign proteins, and when these nanoparticles, which have these foreign proteins or antigens attached to them, are allowed to enter in our body, the immune system of the body of a person is taught how to react for the antigens which the body is not even aware of, and that is what is the principle for the development of these quartet nanocage vaccines. So, we are supposed to find out which statements are not correct. A, it is a form of proactive vaccinology, right. That means before the infection, we make sure that the immune system is aware what kind of foreign material it is supposed to deal with. So, first statement is correct statement. So, it is not our answer, because we are supposed to find out not correct. B, it has a computationally designed nanocage structure for attaching chains of various viral antigens. So, nanoparticles in the form of nanocage structure are used, and to that nanoparticle we attach various kinds of foreign proteins, which are nothing but antigen proteins. C, it is administered through intravenous injection directly into the bloodstream. Now, this statement is an incorrect statement. They are not given in an intravenous format, right. So, that statement is incorrect. They are given in intramuscular or subcutaneous injections. That means under the skin the injections will be given. They are not given in the intravenous format, where they are allowed to enter in the bloodstream directly. On the other hand, they are given in the muscles, and it is also given under the skin. So, third statement is incorrect, and that is our answer. So, answer of this question number 31 is C. D, it can target multiple strains of a virus simultaneously. Now, this statement is also correct. Why? Because when we develop it, we attach this nanoparticle with multiple viral antigens, and as a result of that, the immunity will be against multiple strains of virus. So, D is also correct statement. Answer of this question number 31 is C. Next, 32. Consider the following statements regarding GPS, that is global positioning system. First, GPS relies on the principle of trilateration to determine the location of a receiver on Earth's surface. This statement is correct statement, because in GPS the receiver will take signals from 3 satellites, and those signals will be compiled in order to find out receiver's own position, and that principle is called as principle of trilateration. So, first statement is correct statement. Second, the accuracy of GPS positioning can be affected by factors such as atmospheric conditions and signal multipath interference, right. So, if there is any kind of interference, obviously GPS signals will be affected, because GPS signals their time, the distance that they have traveled is extremely important in order to find out accurate position of the receiver on Earth's surface. So second statement is also correct. Third, GPS satellites use atomic clocks to maintain precise timing, ensuring accurate positioning information. That statement is also correct. So all three statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is C. Question number 32, answer is C. 33. Consider the following statements regarding optogenetics. Now, what is optogenetics? It is a combination of optics and genetics. So here scientists use genetically modified cells, in fact neurons, in order to control their switching on and off based on light, right? So the neurons can be switched on and off based on the passage of light, and that's why this science is known as optogenetics. So let's consider first statement. It is a biological technique to control the activity of neurons or other cell types with light. So that statement is correct statement. These neurons, they have a protein which is sensitive to light, and based on the passage of light we will be able to on and off these cells. So first statement is correct. Second, it has been introduced to map the functional connectivity of the brain. So it is used to track the behavior of human beings based on the activities of neurons, and that's why based on the optogenetics we are able to see what kind of behavior is related to the activity, which kind of activity in brain. So both these statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is C, both 1 and 2. 33, answer is C. Next, 34. Consider the following statements regarding circadian clock. First, it is a biological mechanism that regulates the sleep-wake cycle and other physiological processes in living organisms. So this kind of mechanism is associated with sleep-wake cycle of different living organisms, and also various physiological processes like releasing of hormones. So first statement is correct statement. Second, it operates independently of external cues such as light and temperature. Incorrect, right? So this statement is an incorrect statement, because there is direct impact of these factors like light and temperature. They have impact on circadian rhythm or circadian clock. So second statement is an incorrect statement. Third, circadian rhythms are strictly 24-hour cycles unaffected by variations in the environment. This statement is incorrect. They are affected by the variations in the environment, and they are not strictly of 24 hours. They are around 24 hours, not strictly 24 hours. So only first statement is correct statement, and that's why answer of this question is A, only one. 34, answer is A. 35. Consider the following statements regarding Wigner crystals. So Wigner crystals are formed when electrons repel each other at extremely low temperature and when electron density is very high. So first statement, it is a phase of matter in which electrons form a regular crystal-like pattern due to mutual repulsion. First statement is correct statement. So the Wigner crystal pattern is formed because of the repulsion of electrons. Second, its formation is primarily observed in two-dimensional electron systems subjected to low temperature and high magnetic fields. So that is also correct. Because of low temperature and high magnetic field, the electrons are brought closer and they repel each other, and as a result of their repulsion we get this kind of crystal. So both these statements are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is C. Question number 35, answer is C. Next now, 36. Consider the following statements regarding fusion energy. First, it involves the process of quarks combining to form a heavier quark, releasing energy in the process. Incorrect statement. Quarks do not combine in fusion process. What combine is nuclei, not quarks, right? So first statement is incorrect. Second, in fusion energy generation, the process involves the manipulation of plasma a state of matter consisting of charged particles to include controlled fusion reactors, to induce controlled fusion reaction. So that statement is correct statement. In fusion energy generation, the process involves manipulation of plasma, a fourth state of matter, to induce controlled fusion reaction. So in the fusion process, a gas is converted into plasma and that is brought closer so that the nuclei are able to fuse. So second statement is correct. Third, helium-3 is most promising potential candidate for generating fusion energy. That statement is also correct statement. So second and third are correct statements, and that's why answer of this question is B. Question number 36, answer is B. 37. Consider the following statements regarding decentralized finance, DeFi. Now, decentralized finance is generally based on cryptocurrencies and there is use of blockchain based networks so that there is no involvement of any third party like banks and other mechanisms. So, we will consider the statements regarding DeFi. First, statement 1, it is a blockchain based form of finance that does not rely on central financial intermediaries such as brokers, exchanges or banks to offer traditional financial instruments. So that statement is correct statement, and as there is no involvement of these intermediaries, it is decentralized one for which blockchain technology is used. Second statement, statement 2, in DeFi, financial services are openly accessible and do not require any form of identification for participation. So that is also a correct statement. In DeFi, the services are openly available and there is no need of any kind of identification if you want to use those services, right? So both these statements are correct, but they are independent. It's not that statement 2 is giving an explanation of statement 1, and that's why we will go with option B. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is not the correct explanation for statement 1. Answer of this question number 37 is B. Next, 38. Consider the following statements. First, stem cells are the primary cells used in regenerative medicine due to their ability to differentiate into any cell type in the body. So first statement is a definition of stem cells. Stem cells are a regenerative medicine which are undifferentiated as of now, but they have the potential to develop into any cell type in our body. Right now they have not gone the process of differentiation, and that's why they are undifferentiated as of now, but in future with time they have the potential to become any cell, tissue or organ in our body. First statement is correct. Second, induced pluripotent stem cells are not used in regenerative medicine. Incorrect statement. Induced pluripotent stem cells are the stem cells which have been induced by scientists to behave like pluripotent stem cells. They are used for regenerative. It's not that they are not used. They are used as regenerative medicine. So second statement is incorrect. Third, regenerative medicine has the potential to treat degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So that is also a correct statement. Stem cells can be used for the treatment of the degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease, because in these diseases there is degeneration of cells or neurons, and as a result of stem cells we will be able to regenerate the repair response in these neurons so that we are able to treat Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So first and third statements are correct statements. Answer is B. 38, answer is B. Next now, 84. Consider the following pair. So on one hand we have engine type, and on on the other hand we have vehicle in which these engines are used. We are supposed to find out how many are correctly matched. So first is Kaveri engine, which is matched with GSLV, which is incorrect. Kaveri is a jet engine and it is used in the fighter aircrafts, not in GSLV. First statement is incorrect. First pair is incorrect. Second, CE20, that is cryogenic engine 20, is used in LVM 3, that is correct. AMPS4, which is the fourth stage of PSLV, that is also correct. So, only 2 pairs are correctly matched, and that is why answer of this question number 84 is B. 84 answer is B. Next now, 85. Consider the following statements regarding synchrotron. Now, synchrotron is a kind of particle accelerator, and in LHC, that is Large Hadron Collider, we use this kind of particle accelerator in order to carry out number of experiments by allowing particles to collide, by allowing hadrons to collide. Let us consider the statements first. It is a type of particle accelerator in which the magnetic field guiding the particles into a closed path is time dependent, being synchronized with a particle beam of increasing kinetic energy. That statement is correct statement. Here we use magnetic energy, magnetic field, and that magnetic field is synchronized. That means in a particular time interval it will be accelerated, it will be made available. So, first statement is correct. Second, synchrotron radiation is a type of electromagnetic radiation emitted by charged particles as they are accelerated in synchrotron, right. So, that is also a correct statement. Third, synchrotrons cannot be used for production of high energy X-rays or gamma rays. Incorrect statement. They can be used for the production of high energy X-rays and gamma rays. So, first and second statements are correct statements. Answer of this question is B. Question number 85, answer is B. Next, 86. Consider the following statements regarding T cells. T cells are a type of WBCs, that is white blood cells, and they play an extremely important role in the immunity of our body. Let us consider these statements. First, they are a type of white blood cell that play a central role in immune response by recognizing and killing infected or cancerous cells, right. So, cancerous cells or the cells which are infected by an antigen will be taken care of by T cells. First statement is correct, and B cells, they take care of the antigens which have not entered into any cell as of now. Second, they are produced in the bone marrow and mature in thymus. That is the correct statement. Third, they cannot recognize foreign pathogens without the assistance of an antigen presenting cell that processes the pathogen and presents its antigen, right. So, that is correct statement. They need an assistance in order to recognize the infected cell or cancerous cell. They need an assistance of antigen presenting cells which present the antigen of the cells to T cells, so that T cells can recognize those antigens. So, all three statements are correct statements regarding T cells, and that is why answer of this question is C. Question number 86, answer is C. Next, 87. 87. Consider the following statements regarding chromosomes. First, they are only visible during cell division, specifically during the metaphase stage of mitosis and meiosis. This statement is partially correct, but they are most visible during cell division. We can observe them when cells are not dividing as well, but most visibility of these chromosomes will be there when cell is dividing, right. So, first statement is incorrect statement. Second, humans typically have 46 chromosomes arranged in 23 pairs, including 1 pair of sex chromosome. That statement is correct statement. Third, chromosomes contain only genes which are the units of heredity. Incorrect statement, because chromosomes also have protein, right. So, they also have protein, it is not that they only have genes. Third statement is also incorrect. So, only second statement is correct, and that is why answer of this question number 87 is A, only one. Question number 87, answer is A. Next, 88. Consider the following statements. First, psychedelics are a type of, so this is very technical question. If you have not solved this question, you should not worry, because it is very technical. First, psychedelics are a type of drug that primarily affect the central nervous system, leading to altered perception, mood and consciousness. So, first statement is correct statement. Second, LSD is an example of psychedelic drug that acts by binding to serotonin receptors in the brain. That statement is also correct. Third, psychedelics are highly addictive substances with a high potential for abuse and dependence. Incorrect, they are not addictive. Psychedelics are not addictive substances. So only first and second statements are correct, and that's the answer of this question number 88 is B. 88 answer is B. So that is about our discussion of questions from environment and ecology and science and technology. So most of the questions of environment are manageable, and few questions of science and technology were on the tougher sides. Thank you. So now governance and miscellaneous topics will be covered.
Hello friends, my name is Abhishek. So let us take up the questions from the governance and the miscellaneous sections. The first question that we are going to take up is question number 9. And if you look at this particular question, we'll be looking at the format of the question and what information or what concept that question is trying to test. So the question says, which one of the following statement is not correct? So it is always advisable that you highlight such, mines that I call in a question, so that you don't step up on them. Regarding the Ayurveda Jnana Nyaya Punya initiative or Agni initiative. Now please understand, whenever we talk about solving multiple choice questions like that, and especially with regards to the subject of governance, social justice and such miscellaneous kind, one thing that is very critical is the stakeholder mapping, what I call as the stakeholder mapping or simply mapping. By this I mean that there is certain basic information, for example, the abbreviation and its full form. At times just the full forms, if we know the correct full form, can give us a lot of details, also can help us avoid judging a statement incorrectly. Why? Because there are so many schemes, policies, PMGKAY, PMGKKAY, things like that, and it might get a tad bit confusing. Also the idea is the basic features. For example, herein about the Agni initiative, if the full form would not have been given, then this question would have become one notch more critical. Okay, because the name does not suggest you what it is all about. Alright, so if we look at the format of the question, the format is a single statement. That means you have a very less wiggle room when it comes to playing with the options. If you know, you know. Then coming back to the stakeholder mapping, why it is important, that which are the agencies that are involved. Salient features. Often small rudimentary stuff like funding, whether it's a central sector scheme, whether it is fully funded by center, whether the state funds it, what is the funding mechanism, funding ratio. We have seen generally the ratio is 60-40 and 90-100. Right, but there are schemes which defy this convention with 75-25, things like that. Okay, so often just the information on these little facts help you decipher the correctness or the incorrectness of the statement. So let us look at the set of statements that we have. Agni is launched by the Central Council for Research in Medical Sciences under the Ministry of Ayush. That is correct.
For now that is correct, but we will have to examine the rest of the options as well. Never ever mark a question without examining all the options. Now when you see this particular institution under Ministry of Ayush, a good knowledge about the structure, the hierarchy, the various composite institutions, departments within a ministry can be can be learned through the India Yearbook or India as a volume, which is published by National Book Trust. Okay, so it brings us a sense of organization. Second, it aims to promote research for mainstreaming Ayurveda practitioners through scientific validation and evidence-based appraisal. Right. So if you look at this, this statement is again correct. The initiative encourages Ayurveda practitioner to report their innovative practices and experiences in various disease conditions. That is also correct. The last option is none. So our answer should be D. Yes? No. The answer is not D. Here is the catch. Central Council for Research in Medical Sciences. Medical Sciences, Ministry of Ayush. Have we done our homework well? Which specifically deals with traditional systems of medicine. Why there would be an agency like this under Ministry of Ayush? Either that agency should be under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, right, or the ministry should not be Ayush. One of the two things. In this case, if you look at the first statement is incorrect. It is Central Council for Research in Ayurveda Sciences. Remember the stakeholder mapping. Okay, I deliberately passed that so as to see if you can, otherwise I would not have, been able to express that how Ministry of Ayush is not linked with this, rather with CCRAS. So option A emerges as the incorrect one, and hence, because we have to find the not correct one, our answer should be option A. Option A. Next. Consider the following statements about Bima Sugam portal. So if you see e-governance, there are certain themes. I would not repeat the mapping part because that is common to questions with the governance generally. Portal is something that many portals are coming up. Okay, so with regards to e-governance, the portalization, the portability, one nation, one ration card, one nation, one this, these themes are getting popular, and hence you have to keep a tab on the thematic understanding of this. Okay, so we have to consider these statements about the Bima Sugam portal. Which of the following above statements are correct? We have to find the correct statement. We have a two statement question and the options are allocated in a traditional manner. Therefore, we can apply elimination here. First one, it has been launched by the IRDA to achieve the vision of insurance for all by 2047. This statement is correct. Remember the stakeholder mapping again. It is the IRDA. As per the IRDA, it will work as a model like the UPI, where customers can choose a suitable insurance scheme from multiple options given by various companies. Indeed, when in the newspapers it came, it was like the UPI moment for the insurance sector, right? And various press releases talked about this. So this statement is also correct. So fairly straightforward. Answer is option C. Option C. Next question. Question number 67 in your question paper. Consider the following statements regarding Manrega. You see, there are certain schemes, and Manrega is one of them. Right to information is one of them. Right to information is not scheme, but I'm talking about the agendas and governance that we have. These are old, but still very relevant and often come in news. And hence it is important to keep a tab on the recent developments on them. Also, with regards to the social audit, there was a lot of news in Manrega. So, the 5 statement question, again traditionally framed, so we can use elimination here. At least 60% of the works undertaken under this scheme must be related to land and water conservation. If you look at this, this is one of the finer prints of the Manrega, that indeed it is regarding the conservation. And remember, we have to find the correct ones. So the moment I know what is correct and I am pretty sure about it, I should start finding the options, because the question is framed like this. Okay. So if I look at the first statement is correct, but option A and option C do not have the first statement. Okay, only B and D are there. Therefore, I have narrowed down my options. Now, if I look at B and D, 1 is there, 4 is there, 5 is there. So I wait for the second. I keep a hold. Okay, and I examine 4 and 5. The social audit is an anti-corruption mechanism that allows citizens to review and audit the government's schemes or operations at the grassroots level. Pretty basic, true. Every social audit unit will be entitled to funds equivalent to 0.5% of the Manrega expenditure incurred by the state in the previous years as per the Manrega Act. So this social audit aspect was very much in news. So this is correct. Now I'll jump back to statement 2 and 3, because that is where the conflict is. Statement 2. The wage rates for workers under this scheme are revised annually based on the CPI agricultural labor by the central government. Now this is critical. Which CPI is being used? Since we are talking about rural India, Manrega operates in rural India. And if you look at this is correct. Now I have fairly deduced that my answer is option B, because 4 or 5 I examined. 2 is something I examined, just now, but that leaves us with 3. Can I conclusively say that 3 is incorrect? Or should I conclusively say? No. Without examining, I should not, because I might have judged this incorrectly. So the third statement, as per the provisions of the Manrega Act, the social audit of all works are conducted by the Gram Panchayat. Again, stakeholder mapping. Is it the Gram Panchayat? It is the Gram Sabha. And just this technical difference is making this statement incorrect. Otherwise, the social audit is mandatory. So you can, avoid such minefields if you approach the question in a methodical manner. So indeed, third is incorrect, and therefore our answer is option B. Option B. Moving on to the next one. Question number 68 in your question paper. Consider the following statements regarding Operation Amrit, antimicrobial resistance intervention for total health. Now again, Operation Amrit. There were so many operations to rescue Indians from abroad, and if this full form is not given, then you can get confused. The examiner might trick you with this. Okay, in this case, the question has the full form, but in the actual examination, you might be taken for a ride. So prepare for that as well. Now please read this. Which of the above statements given are incorrect? So we need to find the incorrect statement, and it is traditional format, so elimination can be used. Okay. So now let us examine each of these statements. The operation aimed at conducting surprise raids in retail medical shops to detect off-the-counter sales. OTC sales means off-the-counter sales of antibiotics. This statement is correct. Remember, antimicrobial resistance is a big issue, right? And generally countries in South Asia, particularly India, was blamed because of the rampant off-the-counter sales for antibiotic and critical medicines. The public can also participate in this initiative by reporting any pharmacies selling antibiotics without a prescription to the Drug Control Department. That is again correct. So what should be our option? In the haste, I'll end up marking C because I have forgotten that they are asking incorrect. Please be very diligent in marking the options. Just think, take a deep breath, wait for 2 seconds. I need to find the incorrect ones, but both the statements are correct, and hence the option that I will mark is not C but option D. Option D. Alright. Now let us come to the next question. Question number 69 in your question paper. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding Indian Antarctic Bill 2022? Well, this particular legislation has garnered a lot of news. Recently there was a conference which was also held in the southern part of the country about all these things. So Antarctic and things like that. So therefore it is important. Private Indian players cannot invest in the Arctic region. In the Arctic region. This statement is correct. This statement is correct. It prohibits the introduction of microscopic organisms that are not native to Antarctica. That is true. That is true. Okay. Next, it permits commercial fishing activity for Indians in the Antarctic. If you look at this, idea was to regulate because in the vacuum of a legislation, everybody can do what they think is right. Okay. So if you look at this, this statement is also correct. The Antarctic Treaty 1959 applies to the areas 60 degrees south latitude and its hold all territorial claims in abeyance. That is also true. The bill is actually in accordance with the Antarctic Treaty, okay, which now permits the commercial fishing activity for Indians in the Antarctic. So that is the idea. So this statement is also correct. So if we look at this particular question, all the statements are correct and hence the correct option would be option D. I beg your pardon, in the PPT it is written as 1, 2, 3, 4. The option D is the correct option. Okay, moving on to the next question. Alright, match the following, wherein our mapping actually comes handy. So it is about the various programs that you see and their objective. A simple program objective mapping. Okay, remember many programs are now increasingly being named in the native languages, largely in Hindi by the central government. Okay, so for friends who are not very familiar with Hindi, it can be difficult. So be very clear about this, that you know the name, take it as a name, okay, and you know the objective of it. Okay. Kilkari program, quality care during delivery and immediate postpartum. if you look at this, during delivery and immediate postpartum, I don't think so. Janani Suraksha Yojana, child care via interactive voice response to women registered in the RCH portal. So if you look at A, it is actually mapping with 2. So A has 2, at least I know this for now. Okay, so I can very well come here and eliminate. So that gives me option C as the correct option. Okay, this is just one show. So with first statement, if I can match a pair, that gives me option number C, because you see A nowhere is same in the options. But should I go by it? No, let us wait. Okay, now let me take up the second one, Janani Suraksha Yojana, and I don't know that A is 2. Child care via interactive voice response system in the arts. Janani Suraksha Yojana, it's a scheme, it's a program. It is not just a telecaller service. So I don't think it is there, but the moment I read it, cash transfers for promoting institutional delivery, it makes some sense to me. So B is 3. Earlier I was taking A is 2. Even if I do not know this, B is 3 leaves me option C and A. Okay. Now I forget this for a while again. Okay, let me keep it here. I do not know first two. I will see third statement, because there has to be a start, right? Janani Shishu Suraksha Karyakram, cash transfer Shishu Suraksha Karyakram. It's a program like that. Okay, and the other one was a scheme. Free delivery including for cesarean section in public health institution. This is something which is mapping. So C4 here. So if I look at from multiple lenses, it is pointing to option C, Lakshya, quality care during delivery and immediate postpartum. This seems correct. So if you know the objective at least of 1 or 2, still in such scenarios you can arrive at the correct answer. In this case, the correct answer is option C. Option C. Let us move to the miscellaneous section then. Consider the following statements regarding the Janjatiya Khel Mahotsav. Again, the stakeholder mapping comes in handy, and if you look at the format of the question, it is again a traditional format. Both the statements have Odisha. Okay, both the statements have Odisha. Which of the above statements are correct? So let us examine the first statement. It was organized by Ministry of Sports in partnership with Ministry of Tribal Affairs and Odisha government. Khel Mahotsav, again very likelihood that you will buy this argument that it is the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, but no. The stakeholder mapping, should be remembered. At least which program, which are the principal players, which scheme, which are the principal players, which portal, which are the principal players. So it is Ministry of Culture, Odisha government and KIIT University. So this statement is incorrect. So the moment the first becomes incorrect, I can eliminate 2 options. Let us look at the second. Odisha emerged as champion in the men and women division. This is something which is a fact. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. This is correct. So the correct answer is option B. Option B. Moving further. Question number 40. Again a single statement question. Which of the following best defines honor roll of the UN? You see, recently female Indian Army officer was awarded by UN, and Indians are making their mark globally. Also, the personalities is a section which has not been asked for some time but can make a comeback if the UPSC wants to really surprise. A list of member states that have consistently met their financial obligations to the UN, a registry of countries that have contributed troops to the UN peacekeeping mission, a collection of speeches made by notable figures in the UNGA, a record of sanctions imposed by the Security Council. Now, if you know this, you know this. If you don't, you don't. The answer is A, because you see the options are very close. And whenever you see India, often the peacekeeping comes in our mind, and hence it can be extremely dangerous. So option A is our option to mark. It's a list of member states that have consistently met their financial obligations. Interestingly, this was in news. Okay, so if you have read it well, you can cover it. Next, consider the following statements regarding Malathian. So often we see terminology that is in news, okay, and we have to find what is correct. Malathion is an organophosphate insecticide used to control a wide variety of outdoor insects, both agricultural and residential areas. Malathion has high toxicity level for humans and wildlife, making its usage heavily restricted worldwide. So if you look at this, just the logic of it, don't you think that the two statements are contradictory? If this is something which is, it plays on your fears, you see, if this is so toxic for humans, will it be used in human setting, especially agriculture and residential areas where children, people with old age live? So either of the two statements are correct, either of the two statement is incorrect. One is correct out of the two. That means, and you see, there's nothing absurd about it. At least I can eliminate option C. Okay, at least. Now, can both the statements be simply absurd? No. Just playing by the logic. Now, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Then it comes here. Acha, baat to hui thi. There was some talk. There was something, I remember that it is an insecticide. Then, in comparison of the two statements, the second one seems incorrect. And please, I am purely playing on human logic here. Considering I do not know what Malathion is. If I know, then I can conclusively say that okay, statement 1 is the correct one, and therefore the option to mark is option A. Okay, so always play safe. Do not take up things which you do not have any idea about. Do not do the guesswork. But intelligent, logical deduction is something which is a skill which UPSC tests. So if I know that it is an organophosphate insecticide, at least I know this, then I can, in a relative sense, say that this statement might not be true. If it's an insecticide, then it would be used in agriculture. If it is used in agriculture, how can it be so toxic for human consumption? Okay, so logical derivation like that. So the answer is indeed option A. Option A. Moving further, consider the following statements regarding DEXA bone density test. So if you look at DEXA bone density test, it's a highly specialized sort of a test which is conducted, And if you look at the question, it is how many. So it is the new format. That means your elimination cannot work. If you know, you know. And we have to find the correct set of statements. 3 statements. Let us see. Okay, all 3 and none is again the option. It's a non-invasive diagnostic tool used to measure bone mineral density and assess the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. This statement is correct. This statement is correct. The DEXA scan utilizes dual energy X-ray absorptiometry to differentiate between bone and soft tissue, providing precise measurement of bone density. That is also correct. The DEXA test is only recommended for women over the age of 50 and is not typically used for men or younger individuals. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Now, if somebody in your family, known, friend circle might have gone through test. Now, here is what I say the common sense point. If you have heard about it, then you can say, for example, I have heard about it. Okay, for some relative, I have heard that they have gone through the DEXA test and clearly that person was a male. So the moment I see this, okay, your life experiences, I say this is incorrect. How many of the given statement are correct? Okay, so all the 3 cannot be the option. Herein I can use, but if the common sense point is not, you by chance, I'm not saying it's not common, it's something that you haven't heard about, then of course it's your knowledge and recollection that should work. So in this case, statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. Statement 3 is something which is incorrect. Hence the option to mark would be option B. Option B. So that's all for the section of governance and miscellaneous. More discussion is to follow. Thank you.
हेलो एवरीवन, होप यू गाइज आर डूइंग वेल. होप पढ़ाई अच्छे से चल रही है. एंड इफ देर इज एनी डिफिकल्टी ऑब्वियसली यू कैन कनेक्ट विद अस, विल हेल्प यू रिजॉल्व इट. तो चलो, अभिषेक सर हैज जस्ट कंप्लीटेड इश्यूज रिलेटेड टू क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू गवर्नेंस एंड करंट अफेयर्स. नाउ आई विल बी टेकिंग अप पॉलिटी. लेट अस लुक एट द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ पॉलिटी. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स. Consider the following statements. Under Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, Part 3, that is fundamental rights, individual can enforce rights guaranteed by this part only when they are violated by actions of a government authority. No, this statement is wrong. Alright, the word only makes this statement wrong. If fundamental rights are violated by the government authority, obviously you can enforce them through the courts. Not only that, there are some fundamental rights which, if violated by private individuals, even in that case, you can basically enforce them through the court of law. For example, 17, that is untouchability. Alright, so the word only made this statement wrong. Fundamental rights can be enforced against government and also private individuals. Second statement, violation of fundamental rights provided by Part 3
by both executive and legislative branches of government is declared to be void by constitutional courts. Constitutional courts matlab what? Constitutional courts matlab high courts and the Supreme Court of India. Please remember this. So fundamental rights, if they are violated by any action of executive or legislature, yes, they are declared void by the constitutional court. Now remember, earlier the thinking used to be fundamental rights can only be enforced against executive authority, but after Menka Gandhi case, it was established, it was basically established कि even the actions of legislature which are against part 3 can be declared to be void. So statement 2 is correct and statement 1 is not correct. So our answer will be B, only 2. Moving on to the next question. Now this question is a very conceptual question, and such type of question is known to be asked by UPSC in recent years. How many of the following are features of authoritarian regime? This question has been taken up from NCERT because UPSC nowadays what it is doing is it is picking up concepts directly from NCERT and asking the most basic and the core meaning of that particular concept. Yahan pe bhi we have done the same thing. So authoritarian regime mein what all will come? Okay, centralized power will come. There will be only one center of power in authoritarian regime. Uske baad independent judiciary, obviously it will not be there. Alright. Independent judiciary is when you want to control the government. Authoritarian regime is a regime that has absolutely no control. Third, restriction on civil liberties. Yes, there will be restriction on civil liberties. Alright, there will be no fundamental rights as such as we enjoy it in India. Last, political pluralism, it will not be present. Political pluralism matlab there will be different parties, different ideologies in the country. In authoritarian regime, this does not happen. If there is a party at all, then it will be the only party, and if there are multiple parties, it will only be for showcasing. They will have no authority, they will have no power, they will have no freedom to portray themselves in elections. For example, what used to happen in Saddam Hussein's Iraq, there were political parties, but they had absolutely no freedom. Alright, they could not portray themselves. There was no freedom to the people to elect the party that they wanted to elect. Alright, so basically what we see is political pluralism is absent in authoritarian regimes. There will be only one party if there is a party at all, and even if there are different parties, they will be only for namesake. So second and third will not be present. Select the correct answer. So only 2. Be only 2. Only these two features, that is centralized power and restriction on civil liberties, we will be able to see. We will be seeing in an authoritarian regime. So this is one of the favorite areas of UPSC, that is Parliament. It is from here that questions basically appear every year. Consider the following statements. The Rajya Sabha has exclusive power to initiate the process for removal of the Vice President of India. Absolutely. Lok Sabha has to concur. Lok Sabha also has the role to play in removal of Vice President. No doubt about that. But initiation has to be from Rajya Sabha. Second statement, Rajya Sabha has exclusive power to approve resolution for proclamation of financial emergency. Nahi. Approval of financial emergency has to come from both houses, not just Rajya Sabha. And it is also not written anywhere कि पहला approval should come from which house. It is also not written. In case if Lok Sabha has been dissolved, then Rajya Sabha has to approve the resolution till the time that Lok Sabha approves it. ठीक है, जब तक लोक सभा फिर से सेशन में नहीं आता, only the approval of Rajya Sabha is okay to sustain the proclamation of financial emergency. Otherwise, what we see is Constitution says approval from both houses is necessary. Constitution does not speak as to which house has to approve the proclamation of financial emergency or state emergency, or for that matter national emergency. कौन सा house पहला approve करेगा? It is not written in the Constitution. Third statement, Rajya Sabha has exclusive power to initiate the creation of new All India services. Yes, Rajya Sabha will approve the decision that a new All India service has to be created. Alright, Rajya Sabha basically will take that decision that the new All India service will be created. What is All India service? Officers in All India service work for both central and state government. That is All India service. All right. At present, we have only how many All India services? There are basically 3: IAS, IPS, and Indian Forest Service. So, how many statements are correct? B, only 2. Moving on. Assertion and reasoning wala question. Again, something that UPSC has got into. But this type of questions na you will see less in polity and more in economy. Even though polity may be pushte hai, so obviously we will have to take a look at it. So, what is the question? Governor can send a report to the president if she believes that the state government cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. Yes, it is governor's discretionary power. In the exercise of this particular power, he does not have to take into account the aid and advice of the chief minister and his council of ministers. First statement is correct. Second statement, let us see if there is relation between these two or not, and if the second statement is correct or not. Upon receiving governor's report, the president has to proclaim president's rule in that state. No. President will take decision based on the report and the aid and advice given by Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. One more thing, for the purpose of proclaiming state emergency or president's rule, it is not compulsory for governor's report to be present or governor's report to be advising proclamation of such emergency. Nahi. Governor's report आया तब भी ठीक है. Otherwise also if the president feels कि the law and order situation or for that matter constitutional machinery in the state has failed, he can proclaim state emergency or president's rule. Alright, the first statement is correct, second is wrong. Our answer therefore will be C. Statement 1 is correct but statement 2 is wrong. Okay, now we are taking question from an international document which is one of the favorites of UPSC. So UPSC over the period of time has asked question from Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Why it is important na? Because in this year's CAPF paper and CDS paper this question have appeared. So trend is towards Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Don't worry, you don't need to go through the declaration itself. What you can do is we have provided necessary information in your supplementary notes. So at least go through that part. Utna part bhi if you go through na, it will be more than enough for your examination. How many of the statements provided are correct regarding Universal Declaration of Human Rights? First statement, the declaration provides that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. Absolutely correct. It grants the right to everyone to seek asylum from persecution. Yes, this is also correct. Hence, most of the time migrants show Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It explicitly prohibits countries from awarding death penalties. Nahi. Explicitly it does not prohibit countries from awarding death penalties. So, third statement basically is wrong. We have provided you with the rights that Universal Declaration of Human Rights talks about. So, please go through them in your supplementary notes. Chalo, let us move ahead. Consider the following statements regarding NITI Aayog. Vice Chairperson and CEO of NITI Aayog are appointed by President of India. Vice Chairperson and CEO of NITI Aayog are appointed by President of India. Absolutely wrong. This is a trick statement. This basically is a trick question. Dekho, Chairman of NITI Aayog, Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog, Chairman is the Prime Minister, Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog and CEO of NITI Aayog are appointed by Prime Minister, not the President. Please remember this. This is an exception. Otherwise, all the important dignitaries, all the important functionaries of the central government are appointed by the President. Apart from these two, NITI Aayog has a governing council comprising the chief ministers of all the states and union territories with legislature. Absolutely correct. Third statement, NITI Aayog has the mandate to design strategic and long-term policies and program for the government of India. Yes, that is its basic job. What is NITI Aayog? It is basically the official think tank of government. Official think tank of government, and its vision or perception is its vision basically is towards long-term planning. Not planning in the way in which fire plan used to be, but long-term program which will push India towards economic development. NITI Aayog has financial powers to allocate funds to various state governments. Nahi. NITI Aayog is only advisory in nature. It cannot. It basically cannot allocate funds. ठीक है, allocation of fund वैसे भी it is not under the purview of NITI Aayog. इससे पहले जो organization था planning commission, it used to advise कि which state should get what amount of money. All right, NITI Aayog does not have that power at all. It does not get into advising on the issue at all. So how many statements are correct? 2 statements are correct, or answer will be B, only 2. Coming to question number 7. Which of the following rights are included under right to life and personal liberty as interpreted by Supreme Court under Article 21? Okay, Supreme Court under different decisions, what it has done is, it has increased the ambit of Article 21 or right to life. ठीक है, तो right to life के अंदर what has Supreme Court said कि क्या क्या included है? Explicitly तो Supreme Court has only written, Constitution has only mentioned right to life. Definition of right to life, when Supreme Court interpreted it, तो what all it has basically put under this umbrella, वो अपने को देखना है. तो first is right to a clean environment, absolutely correct. Right to education, absolutely correct, yes it has. Right to health, yes it has. Right to livelihood, yes it has. ठीक है, तो right to clean environment, education, health, livelihood, all are included. If we start with livelihood, na, it was basically Olega Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation BMC. If you take into consideration right to health, then it was Pachim Bengal Khet Mazdoor Samiti versus State of West Bengal. In the same way, if you take into consideration right to education, so it was Mohini Jain versus State of Karnataka. And with respect to right to clean environment, it was MC Mehta versus Union of India. ठीक है, तो if you want, you can keep this case laws in mind, but I don't think much is asked with respect to case laws. What all is included in 21, that is more important. All right, chalo. Now this question is important for this year because of what has happened in the last 12 months. ठीक है, this question is related to the powers that a speaker gets through election symbols. Power that election commission gets through election symbols, reservation and allotment orders 1966. Now basically this order comes into effect when a symbol has to be granted to a particular party, alright, or the dispute for symbol has to be resolved between 2 fractions of the party. This particular order has been passed by President under Representatives of People's Act. Alright, तो Representative of People's Act के अंदर ये order पास किया गया है and it gives certain powers to the Election Commission. So let us see the statements that are provided. The order empowers Election Commission to resolve disputes between rival fractions of a recognized political party regarding party symbol. Absolutely correct, बिल्कुल सही जवाब. The Election Commission can freeze the symbol of a party if there is a dispute between the fraction. Yes, for example, when there was dispute with respect to the party CM of AIA-DMK, when there was dispute with respect to which is original AIA-DMK, one headed by Pannirselvam or one headed by Shashikala, when there was dispute between the two. So what did Election Commission do? वो बोले कि symbol of AIA-DMK we are freezing and we are providing different symbols to these 2 fractions. When we will come at the conclusion, we will give the official symbol of AIA-DMK to one of the fractions. Abhi we have not decided, so you can fight elections on different symbols. This symbol we are keeping it safe. Third statement, decision of Election Commission under the powers granted by the above order is open to judicial review. Yes, it is open to judicial review. So all the 3 statements are correct. ठीक है, all the 3 statements are correct. Or answer is C, all 3. All right, C, all 3. If appeal has to be made against the order of Election Commission, now where does the person go? He first goes to the High Court, then the Supreme Court. All right, remember that. Chalo. Next question. Now this is another important question because of what we saw in Maharashtra. Speaker's role in anti-defection. See, speaker's role in anti-defection case. The speaker acts as tribunal. How many of the following statements are correct about speaker's role in anti-defection proceedings? Okay, that is under 10th schedule of the constitution. The speaker acts as a tribunal while deciding the case under 10th schedule. Yes, the speaker acts as a tribunal. Speaker's decision on anti-defection is beyond the jurisdiction of any court. Absolutely not. There can be judicial review and there have been judicial reviews. The speaker has to act within reasonable time frame while deciding on anti-defection case. Yes, Supreme Court has also said it. In the recent Maharashtra Assembly wala case, Supreme Court has said speaker has to act within reasonable time. What is that time? That Supreme Court has neither spoken nor it is written in the constitution. But yes, reasonable time, Supreme Court said the decision has to be taken within reasonable time. Select the correct answer using the code. How many options basically are correct? How many statements basically are correct? 2 statements, or answer therefore will be B. Now coming to Enforcement Directorate and the law that basically empowers Enforcement Directorate, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Consider the following statements regarding Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. First statement: the Enforcement Directorate is the designated authority for investigating offences under PMLA. Yes, the PMLA includes provision for international cooperation in investigation and prosecution of money laundering offences. Yes. Third statement: PMLA mandates that the financial institutions report suspicious transactions to the Financial Intelligence Unit, India. Yes. Remember this particular organization. Some information about it is relevant information about it is provided in supplementary notes. Please go through it. So which statements are correct over here? D, 1, 2 and 3. All the statements are correct. Question number 63. Question number 63. How many of the following statements regarding National Human Rights Commissions are correct? First statement: the chairperson or the members of the NHRC can be removed from the office only by the President of India on recommendation of Supreme Court. Yes, their tenure basically is secured through it, so that they can act without fear or favor. Okay. Next statement: the chairman or any member can be removed on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Yes, correct. Third statement: the chairman and members of NHRC hold their office for a term of 3 years or until they attain the age of 70, whichever is earlier. This statement is also correct. Dekho, earlier it was 5 years. Now it is 3 years. So don't get confused. Alright. What is basically the answer? Therefore C, all 3. Coming to question number 64, again a question which has been, or again an international agreement which has been in news for the last 2 or 3 years, and what we also saw was UPSC being interested in it in CDS and CAPF exam. Hence I felt it is necessary that you at least go through the preliminary points of it. Padna nahi hai ye abhi, theek hai, we are too close to exam. I would suggest you go through the supplementary notes. Chalo. First statement: it is a multilateral treaty to which India is a signatory, adopted by United Nations General Assembly. Yes, correct. First statement is absolutely correct. First statement is absolutely correct. Second statement: the ICCPR provides provisions for right to a fair trial and due process. Yes, this is also correct. It allows for suspension of some rights during public emergencies, including right to life. Nahi, dekho, ICCPR, it allows for suspension of few rights. It allows. But those rights, the convenient explicitly mentions कि you cannot suspend right to life. तो right to life is explicitly mentioned कि आप उसको suspend नहीं कर सकते. तो third statement is obviously wrong. Fourth statement, Human Rights Committee is established by ICCPR to monitor implementation of the convenient. Yes, this is the correct statement. Fourth statement is correct statement without any doubt. So our answer here will be 1, 2 and 4. B is our answer. Question number 65. Question number 65. Kelkar Committee basically is associated with, Kelkar Committee basically is associated with revisiting public-private partnership model. Narsimhan Committee is associated with banking sector reforms. So it was the one which talked about convertibility and all those things. Convertibility of money ho gaya, banking sector reforms ho gaya, all those things. Narsimhan Committee basically spoke about it. Gadgil Committee, regional economic imbalance ke upar it had spoken. Nichiket Moore Committee, financial inclusion. So our answer basically is A. Answer is A. Then coming to question on Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Dekho, this question was taken up now because Shanghai Cooperation Organization has been in news, and there are chances of SCO being taken up by UPSC. So let us see. Consider the following statement about Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The SCO aims to enhance cooperation in political, economic, security and cultural spheres among the member states. Yes, the statement is right. Second statement, its regional anti-terrorist structure is headquartered in Moscow. No, it is not headquartered in Moscow, Russia, but in Beijing, China. It is in Beijing, China. Headquarters of it is in Beijing, China. Mongolia is the newest member. Now, Mongolia is the newest member state in SCO. No. Second is incorrect. Third is also incorrect. Mongolia at this point of time has what status? Observer status. Who is the newest member? Iran is the newest member. So only one statement is correct. Our answer therefore will be A, only one. Alright friends, thank you so much for being part of this discussion. Thank you so much for being part of this discussion. We'll meet soon. Please study well. If there is any issue, we are there for you. Please contact us. We'll help you out. Whatever we can do in our capacity, we'll do it for you. Alright, best of luck. Thank you. Bye.
Hello everyone, I am Krishna Gupta. Welcome to GS Core. So today we'll be discussing All India Open Mock Test 3. Okay, so just give me a minute. Okay, let's start the discussion. Basically what we see here that a few concepts are quite important and they are repeatedly seen in the UPSC Prelims examination. What examiner is trying to ask, okay, what has been trends in the UPSC, we will be trying to analyze them. We will try to see where we can find the applicability of the concepts to gain out the momentum out of it and to gain through this prelims examination. So we'll start with the first question, question number 41. Consider the following statements. So statement is with regard to the formation of different mountain ranges. Okay, so we are talking basically about here the peninsular plateau. Okay, the peninsular plateau of India. So the Western Ghats escarpment was developed from rifting and separation of India from the Seychelles. Now here if we try to see the statement, we are looking at something which is developed in the past, but what is developed, how it is developed, we need to see that part here. So looking at the diagram, we see the Western Ghats are present in this part, and the Western Ghats are basically block mountains. Okay, they are basically a block mountains. Now when we see the word escarpment, what is escarpment? What is an escarpment? When the blocks they move up and down, okay, there is uplifting of the blocks, and at certain point of time there is subsidence of the block. So because of this upliftment and downliftment or subsidence, there is formation of a kind of structure which results into the formation of a escarpment, which is also termed as we can say the kind of the bedland topography. So here the escarpments are developed here from the rifting and separation of India from the Seychelles. Now if I go back to around 40 million years ago, 40 to 50 million years ago, when India was almost present near the equator, when India was present at the equator, and during the same time period we see there was the flow of the lava has taken place in the Deccan Plateau, okay, which we also call it in the present term as the Deccan Lava Plateau. So the flow of lava has taken place. So there was a very high amount of energy which was coming out, which has resulted into rifting and separation of India from the Seychelles. So Seychelles, it was part of the island, it was basically part of island where it is region, it is an island where at that point of time, we are talking about the time scale here, where there have been separation of the this Western Ghats has taken place, okay, or the formation of the Western Ghats has taken place. Therefore this statement becomes a correct statement. The Western Ghats have higher elevation than the Eastern Ghats. If we look and compare this two mountain ranges, that is Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, Eastern Ghats have been formed quite earlier, okay, they have formed around 250 to 200 million years ago, while the Western Ghats they have formed around 50 million years ago. Therefore if we try to compare the heights, we see that the Western Ghats they have an average elevation of around 1200 to 1600 meters, while the Eastern Ghats they have the highest elevation which is around 1000 meters or less than it, okay. So this is 1000 meters and less. Therefore the statement 2 is also correct statement. Very easily it is given in NCERT book also. Now the escarpment serves as a natural barrier in the Western Ghats region to regulate the availability of water on the eastern side. Now if we look at this statement properly, so this is Western Ghats, I can say this is a Western Ghat, okay, this is a mountain range which is in this part. So it is serving as a natural barrier, okay, it is serving as natural barrier in the Western Ghat region to regulate the availability of water on the eastern side. So this is eastern side and this is western side. So we see that the regulation of water, it is actually taking place in the eastern side. What used to happen before the formation of Western Ghats, the average elevation of India, it was not very much subjectively tilted towards the eastern part, okay, it was not subjectively very much tilted towards the eastern parts. There were certain rivers which were also flowing towards the Arabian Sea region. So we see here that the availability of water, it has retained more on the eastern side, okay, as we see from the river like Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, etc. Therefore this statement is also correct here. We are looking out for the correct statement, so it is D, 1, 2 and 3. Now moving forward, we have next question as with respect to the landforms formed by the glaciers. Now, landforms are formed by the action of either weathering or erosion. Now, weathering and erosion, they are consisting of certain agents like water, running water, river, it can be groundwater, it can be wind, it can be glacier, it can be wave, ocean tides, etc. So, this can be the agents of erosion and weathering. Therefore, resulting into formation of various kind of landforms resulting through the deposition or through the erosion. So, first option here we have moraine. So, moraine is one of the natural dam which is formed by the erosion of glaciers. So, statement or the option 1 is correct. Now, ulavas. Ulavas are one of the landforms which is developed by the erosion of the we can say the limestone rocks or the softer rocks. Okay, softer rocks, here majorly sedimentary rocks are considered like limestone. So, this is an incorrect option. Similarly, go for the lapis. Lapis are the landforms which are developed by erosion of the softer rocks, okay, developed by the erosion. Therefore, this statement is also incorrect. Eskers, when we looked at, eskers are one of the landform which are developed by the glacial activity. Basically, here when the glaciers are present, some of the water it is melting, and it is taking along with it certain rocks. These rocks, they are being moved from one region to another region where the deposition takes place. So, generally it is a depositional feature of the glaciers. Therefore, this statement is correct. Caves, we can see it is an incorrect option because glaciers does not result into the formation of caves. It is formed by either waves, tides in the coastal areas, or it can be formed by karst topography, okay, by the karst or the erosion of the softer rocks. Next is cirque. Cirque is one of the erosion which is being done by the glaciers, okay, resulting into the formation of narrow we can say narrow pathway in a mountain range. So, it is done by the erosion activity by the glacier. Therefore, this cirque is correct. So, if we look at the correct option here, it is 1, 4 and 6. So, B 1, 4 and 6 is the correct answer for this question. Now, moving to the next question. This is question 43. Here we are talking about corals. Corals are quite important for the oceanic or sea environment. Here corals, they are formed in the shallow waters, okay, in the littoral zone they are formed, okay. Here we need to see that what are the basic temperature requirement, the salinity requirement on which these corals thrive. So, these corals, they are geographically located in the different regions of the world where there is availability of fresh water. For example, the Bay of Bengal Sea region, here the corals will be found in less numbers as compared to the western coast where we see the salinity is quite higher. So, starting the question here, corals can survive only under the saline conditions with an average salinity up to 40%. So, when I say this statement here, this statement is a correct statement because up to 40% salinity means it is talking about the salinity condition of the water where it is needed to be about 40%. Now, reef building corals are found in tropical and subtropical regions, mainly on the western coast of continents, okay, mainly on the western coast of continents. Now, when we are talking about the western coast of the continents, now, when we are talking about the western coast of the continents, what we are trying to analyze towards the tropical and subtropical region, that is up to 30-degree latitudes. Up to 30-degree latitudes, if we see here, there is presence of cold currents like Canary current in this side, Peru current here, okay. Then we have towards the Australian part, we have West Australian current. These are certain currents which are cold in nature. Because they are cold in nature, the temperature here it is low. The temperature here it is lower than 27 degrees Celsius. 27 degrees Celsius is a general mark, okay, which is, or 26.5 degrees Celsius is a general mark for the temperature of the oceans, but because of the presence of this cold currents, the temperature it is going beyond it. It is around 23, 24 or 25 degrees Celsius. Because of this condition, on the western margin of the continents, okay, we are talking about the western margin of the continents which are present in the tropical and subtropical waters. Because of the presence of cold currents, we do not find the presence of the coral reefs. Therefore, we see that this statement here it is an incorrect statement because it is saying that it is found. So, as we look at the statement here, statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. We see the correct answer for this question is C. Moving to the next question. Which of the following river is associated with the Gangani Danga Canyon, also known as the Grand Canyon of Bengal? This is one of the we can say a current affair question which was in news recently. This Gangani Danga Canyon, it is present in West Bengal, but if we see the number of rivers which are present in West Bengal, it is some of the we can say tributaries of Mananda, then Teesta River, Hooghly River, then we have Shilabati. So, if we look at all these rivers, so it is the Shilabati River, it is the correct answer for this question, on which we see the Grand Canyon of Bengal or the Gangani Danga Canyon is formed. So, here we see option A is the correct answer for this question. Moving to the next question, we have a question on certain backwater and tides. So, we will be looking at backwaters. Backwaters, basically what is backwater? We can see a region. If you have gone to a coastal area, if you have gone to a beach, so you might see here that a river is bringing water in certain region. Okay, a river is bringing water. Now, opposite to this river, there is certain water which is also being brought by the waves and tides. Okay, tides, they bring out certain water towards the coastal region. Tides, they bring out certain waters towards the coastal region. So, what we see here, at this point or at this junction, there is certain region where the rivers also bring water. Okay, the rivers also bring water, but the water which is being flown into the sea, it is brought back by tides into these zones. So, these zones are basically called as the backwater zones. So, in the coastal region of Kerala, we see the presence of these backwaters. So, looking at the statements, during the high tides, sea water enters the mouth of rivers, while during the low tides, fresh water from the rivers flows into the sea. Now, as we see from this diagram, during the low tides, the water will recede to a certain point towards the beaches, okay, towards the sea. So, at that point of time, the rivers will be having higher flow. The rivers will be bringing the water into the sea. But when there is high tide, when the tide is higher, the tides will bring water into this backwater zone, and this water zone, it will be intermixed with the river water basically. So, we see that this statement 1 is a correct statement for this part. Now, statement 2, the Vembanad lake is the largest backwater lake in Kerala. Now, if we look as per the geographical location, the Vembanad lake, it is present in Kerala. It is an L-shaped lake. Here three major cities of Kerala is located, for example Alfuza. So therefore this statement is a correct statement. Now Kerala backwaters are mainly brackish and are used for agriculture. Now when we look at this zone here, certain regions of this backwater, when the tides are low, this region can be used for either fishing or it can be used for paddy cultivation. It can be used for paddy cultivation or it can be used for fishing activity. Therefore, these Kerala backwaters are famous. They are famous for the agricultural purposes. Therefore, this statement is also correct. So, the correct answer for this question is C, all three. Now, moving to the next question. Next question is on the Arctic vegetation. Okay, it is basically on the Arctic vegetation. Now, Arctic zone, if we look at, it is basically consisting of oceans. Okay, it is basically consisting of ocean, but there are certain regions. For example, towards the Northern America, we have part of Alaska and Canada. Towards Europe, we have certain countries like Finland, Norway. Then we have Siberian region of Asia. So these are certain countries which borders this Arctic region. Therefore, they have this influence of Arctic type of climate. Okay, Arctic, I will say it is tundra type of climate here. So lichens and organisms that can perform photosynthesis without proper soil cover in the region. So here we are talking about certain organisms which can perform the process of photosynthesis. So if we look at the condition throughout the majority time of the year or throughout the majority of the months of the year, this region is covered under the snow. Just for 3 to 4 months. This region, it is at some point of time. It can be just 1 or 2 months also. So for 1 to 2 months up to 3 to 4 months, the surface of this region, it is not having snow or ice during the summer season. During this summer season, there are certain organisms or certain we can say the microorganisms, they prevail on the surface of the soil. They prevail on the surface of the soil. These organisms are nothing but they are either lichens or they are moss. So they are the organisms that can perform photosynthesis without proper soil cover in the region. Where if the soil surface is not present, if just rock is present, so there also this lichens, they will be able to perform the process of photosynthesis. Therefore this statement here, it is a correct statement. Now talking about the mosses. So mosses are non-flowering plants with stems and small leaves. Basically mosses, they are plant. But if we talk about lichens, they are not plants, but they are basically a symbiotic relationship of fungal and algae. Fungi and algae, it is a symbiotic relationship which is resulting into formation of lichens. So we see that both the statements are correct answer here. Both 1 and 2 are the correct answer for this question. Now moving forward. With reference to the millets, now millet is one of an important crop. There is a time frame. At this time frame, we see certain crops, they have certain higher importance. For example, when India got independence and we were not sustainable or we were not having a good amount of production of crops for our sustenance, for the sustenance of the population, we relied more on certain crops which can feed India and also provide nutritional security. So at that point of time, wheat and rice were one of the pioneer crops which provided India as one of the sources of food security in terms of higher productivity of crops, okay, because the high yielding variety of seeds were available for wheat and rice, and they gained prominence during those time, during 1970s, 1980s, till now also, until we can say 2015 and beyond, or about that point, wheat and rice were the major crops. But after 2015, certain regions of world and India, they witnessed the problem of climate change. So here, as we can see, the devilish part that climate change has played, it had impacted the productivity of wheat and rice, not only of India but also throughout the world. So here we need another crop which is more resilient, which is more resistant to the heat stress, which can grow in the water stressed regions or in the low water conditions. So here we find millet as one of the pioneer crops in the contemporary time, in the times of climate change. So a very probable question that can be asked in UPSC examination on millet. So millets have shallow root system and require minimal fertilizers. So as we look at this condition, the millets, as we can see, their roots are shallow. Why their roots are shallow? Because they require less water. The crops which require high amount of water, they have higher roots, okay, they have deeper roots, okay. For example, we can see the sugarcane, it requires a large amount of water, the rice, it requires a large amount of water. So the roots of these plants or the roots of these crops, it will be quite deeper. But as the millets, they require less amount of water, their roots become shallow in nature, okay. Therefore the statement 1, it becomes a correct statement. Now talking about the statement 2, Maharashtra is the largest producer of pearl millet in India. Pearl millet is one of the variety of millet which is one of the highest in terms of millet production in India. There are total 13 millets which are produced in India, okay, on the commercial basis. So out of which pearl millet is the millet which is highly produced. But this millet is not highly produced in Maharashtra, but it is produced in Rajasthan. Therefore statement 2, it becomes an incorrect statement. Now statement 3, Rajasthan contributes the highest millet production in India, okay. In terms of pearl millets, either in terms of millets or pearl millets, Rajasthan plays a very important role. Rajasthan plays a very important role in the form of highest production of millets in India. Why Rajasthan is having higher production of millets? Because we see that the region of Rajasthan, it majorly lies in arid and semi-arid region. Arid and semi-arid region, okay, and a major part of it comes under the part of desert. So if we look at the arid and semi-arid region, here rainfall, it varies between 25 to 50 centimeters, but in the desert region it is less than 10 centimeters, okay. So Aravalli range, which divides the western Rajasthan and the eastern Rajasthan, here we see Indira Gandhi Canal is one of the important initiative which has resulted in the production of various crops, certain crops, where the millet is one of an pioneer crop, or it is one of the highly produced crop in this region. Where the eastern part of Rajasthan, here we see a mixed production of wheat along with millet. Certain regions also produce rice where the availability of water is high. Because of this condition, because of the geographical condition, the climatic condition, the availability of water, millet is one of the crop which is highly produced in this region, making it the highest contributor to the millet basket of India. So we see statement 2 is incorrect, while 1 and 3 are correct. We are looking for the correct option here. So B only 2 is the correct answer for this question. Moving to the next question. We have a certain paragraph here which is basically talking about, we need to locate a particular crop here. The plant originated in Eastern Asia. In Eastern Asia, if we look at, it is majorly part of the South Korea, North Korea, the Eastern China, okay, Japan. So these are the regions of Eastern Asia, and was taken to Middle East. Middle East, if we talk about, we are talking about Iran, Iraq, okay. So these are the regions of Middle East, okay, Saudi Arabia, and Southern Europe in Middle Ages. Middle Ages, we are talking about medieval India. It is a perennial crop, okay, perennial crop, a crop which is present throughout the year. Certain crops, they have certain, we can say, the life is, the certain life is present. For example, 3 months, 4 months, or it can be for a year. Now, it can continue production for many years, but becomes uneconomic after 2 to 3 ratoons. Ratoon means 2 to 3 cycles, cycles of where the crop will grow out again and again. Now, the processing mills must be near to the farms, as the crop can quickly deteriorate. Okay. Now, the crop yield is lower in subtropics due to short growing season and high temperature disparity. We can see here that a particular crop has to be located. So, if we talk in terms of the options which we are provided with, wheat is one of the crop which does not have a very perennial kind of life situation. It grows just in the Rabi season, okay. Second thing, it does not deteriorate quickly after its, we can say, after it is produced. Therefore, wheat is not one of the option. If we look at rice, rice is one of the crop which also find its origin near the, we can say, Indus Valley civilization. So rice, if we look at, it is also not one of the crop here, because it is also having the crop have its certain lifetime or life period. Therefore, it is also not one of the crop. But if we talk in terms of the subtropical and tropical regions, so in the subtropical regions, rice has low productivity, but in the tropical regions, rice have higher productivity comparatively, as rice is a crop of tropical region. But because of the other conditions which are not fulfilled here, it is not the correct option. If we talk about cotton, cotton is also one of the crop which is having certain, we can say, certain conditions which are fulfilled here. For example, it can grow for certain number of years. Once the cotton is grown, it is just giving the cotton balls out. So, but here we see that the deterioration issue, the deterioration part here, it is not going along with the cotton, because as the cotton it is produced, the bales are produced. If it is not used for 1 year or 2 years, it will be remaining intact and it can be used after that particular time also. Yes, it can deteriorate after 1 year or 2 years, but not quickly. Therefore, we see that other conditions are fulfilled to a certain extent for cotton, but not completely. But if we talk in terms of sugarcane, sugarcane is one of the crop which can deteriorate quickly, very quickly it can deteriorate, which will result into the low output of the sugar. Okay. Therefore, we see C, sugarcane is the correct answer for this question. Next question, it is based on certain theories on the evolution of the universe. Okay, we are talking about the evolution of universe. We have already seen certain theories. For example, we have nebular hypothesis theory, then we have accretion model, we have the protostar sun model, we have Chamberlain model, and we have Kantian model. So we have different model and different theories which propound the Big Bang theory, the Hubble model, okay, which gives their various insights on how the universe have been formed. But if we look in the contemporary time, we see that the Big Bang theory or the Big Bang model, it is one of the most accepted model, because it explains that how the universe has formed. It gives out certain conditions, like in first 30 seconds what has happened, in first 3 minutes what has happened, what was the initial condition, the infinite weight, infinite mass, and the infinite temperature which was present in the single we can say single point, which is also called as singularity. So here these theories, they have been researched upon. Okay, this theory of Big Bang, it was given out in 1908 by Edwin Hubble. But now if we see certain other theories, they are trying to give some evidences, provide some evidences on how the universe has actually formed, what were the different parts of the universe which have been formed. So looking at this part here, we have the density of the universe does not change over time, even if the universe is continuously expanding. So here what this part is saying, we see that there is presence of energy and there is presence of matter. We have the presence of energy in the universe and we also have the presence of matter in the universe, or we have certain mass in the form of matter. So this theory, okay, this theory which is called as steady state theory, okay, steady state theory, which is supporting the Big Bang theory, it says that the universe, it is expanding, but the density of the universe, it is not changing over the time. Therefore this statement here, it becomes a correct statement at this point. Okay, now looking at the statement 2, the universe underwent a short and sudden expansion recently. Okay, we are talking here about the recent pattern here. What this theory it says here, what the theory is saying here, there is another theory that is called as eternal inflation theory. Okay, so these two theories, that is steady state theory and the eternal inflation theory, these theories says that the universe, it undergoes there are certain, we can say, bubbles are present. For example, when the universe was formed, there were certain universes which have been formed in the form of bubble. They were formed in the form of bubble, and certain part of the universes, they are at certain point, they are very small, but when they receives energy, they inflate, resulting into sudden expansion of that bubble or that part of the universe. So we see that this has been proved recently. Okay, this has been proved recently by certain telescopes. So by the evidences of the telescopes, so it is said that the universe has actually underwent, the part of the universe has underwent a sudden expansion in the recent times. Now the universe began as a single point, we also call it as the singularity. Okay, as a singularity, and then expanded and stretched to grow, as we see in the form of the Big Bang theory. In the first 3 minutes it exploded, okay, the singularity exploded and it expanded to a very certain extent. After the 3 minutes, or we can say certain number of days, this expansion it stopped and there was a steady expansion after that. Okay, slow and steady expansion after that. Therefore we see this statement is also correct statement and we are looking for the correct answer. So C, all three is the correct answer for this question here. Now moving to the next question, we have a question for the formation of desert here. Okay, so considering the statement, we'll be going with the first statement, the trade winds blow from east to west. Okay, trade winds we are talking about, when we are talking about trade winds, we are talking about easterlies. Okay, we are talking about easterlies. Easterlies, where they move from? They move from east to west. They move from east to west. If we see the country of, or the continent of Africa, or we see the continent of South America, we see, ये थोड़ा छोटा हो गया, okay. What we see here, that these countries, they have majorly all the countries which are present in the tropical zone, okay, from 0 to 30 degree latitude, they experience the easterly winds. Now, easterly winds, they are flowing in this direction, okay, from east to west. So, because of their easterly flow, the majority of the moisture which is carried by these easterly winds, they are shed towards the eastern continental regions. They are shed towards the eastern continental regions. And because of the less moisture which is carried towards the western part, the less moisture which is carried towards the western part, it results into the formation of desert. It results into the formation of desert in this part. So, we are seeing that the trade winds blow from east to west direction, resulting in the formation of tropical desert. This is a correct option, or this is a correct statement. The areas between 20 to 30 degrees of latitude, okay, 20 to 30 degrees, we can see this is, if this is 30, this is 20. On the western margins of the continents are the regions of descending air, okay, it is called as it is the region of descending air. So, here we see that between 20 to 30 degrees, not only 20 to 30, but we can also say at certain point of time, okay, during different seasons, during 30 to 40 degree latitude also, there is descendance of air takes place. Why the descending of air is taking place here? Because at this point here, we see the presence of subtropical high, okay, subtropical high pressure belt. The subtropical high pressure belt is present here, because of which if this is easterly, this is 0 degree latitude, that is equator, and this is 30 degree latitude. Here we see the descending of air is taking place, and at this point or at this region we see the high pressure system. This pressure system, it is present in subtropical region, therefore it is called as subtropical high pressure belt region. So, we see this statement here, it is also a correct statement. Now, looking at the third statement, the Arabian deserts are dominated by the subtropical high pressure system, okay, subtropical high pressure system. Yes, in the desert region of the Arabian Peninsula, we see the presence of subtropical high pressure system, where the similar kind of conditions are found in the region of Asia. Okay, so in this same region we see the presence of the subtropical high pressure belt. So, it is characterized by extreme temperature variations and storms. Now, if we look at this condition, the temperature variation here, it is very high, as during the daytime the temperature at certain regions it crosses 49, 50, 51, 52 degrees, okay, and during the night time we see, because the latent or the specific heat of the land or the sand, it is very high. It is very high, means they can take up heat very easily, very quickly, and they releases heat very quickly, because of which we see the temperature variation in this desert, it is very high. But this region, it is not consisting of storms. Storms are found in the region. Storms are basically found in the region where we see there is the presence of different masses or different air masses, or we see this region where the cyclone formation or the low pressure belt formation takes place. So, here we see that the storms formation here, it is not very high, it is not characterized by this part. Subtropical high pressure belt system, it is characterized by calm zone, okay. This region, it is characterized by calm zone, where the sky, it is clear, okay. At certain point of time the thunderstorms can come here, but nature, as we can see, if there the nature of the high pressure belt zone, it does not consist of the part of storms and cyclones. It is basically more calm and clear sky zone. Therefore, this statement here, it becomes an incorrect statement. So, we are looking for the correct options. It is C, 1 and 2 only. Now, moving to the next question, we have a question with respect to ocean heat content. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 is the temperature variation between the continents and oceans is greater during the summer than in winter. Now, if we look at this condition here, during the summer season and during the winter season, there is a different condition which is prevalent, in the different regions of the this part here. So here what we see that the temperature variation between the continents and oceans is greater during the summer than in winter season. If we talk in terms of Asia, like let's say Asia or Eurasia, okay, this is we can say this is Asia or Eurasia. Here we have equator, and here we have 30-degree latitude, here we have 60-degree latitude, and this is 90-degree, that is poles. Now here we have Indian Ocean, and at this point we have Pacific Ocean. At this point here we have Atlantic Ocean. Okay. Now let's see a condition here. The temperature of ocean and continents during the summer season. The land part of the tropical region, it is having an average temperature which is around 34 or 36 degree Celsius. Okay, 34 to 36 degrees Celsius. And the oceans they have temperature of around 27 degrees Celsius, 27 degrees Celsius near the tropics. So here we see 27 degrees Celsius, okay, in the oceanic part, but as it goes to land part, the temperature rises here. So we see here that the gradient of the temperature here, it is not very vast. But if we look at the condition where the temperature of the ocean, it is still 26 to 27 degrees Celsius during the winter season, but on the land we see the temperature in the tropical region, it is going around 24 degrees Celsius. So here the gradient, it is not very high. But as we go towards the we can say towards the mid tropical region, temperate region and polar region, here the gradient, it becomes quite vast. Here. Okay. So we see the time variation between the ocean and continents, it is greater. It is quite greater, and it becomes okay. So gradient here we see that it is quite good. But as we compare both the part, the winter part and the summer part, so the variation between the continents and oceans, it is quite higher during the summer season. Than in the winter season. Now, second statement is the specific heat of the land surface is more than water. Now, we are talking about the specific heat of land and water. It is an incorrect statement. Why? Because the specific heat of water is more than land. Okay, water, it is more than land. Why? Because the amount of heat which is retained by a water body, it is quite high. Than the heat which is retained by land. For example, we see that we have higher water column. Okay, water column is quite vast. The exchange of heat, it is quite high. It takes up to quite we can say 1 kilometer. It takes up to 1 kilometer or 1000 meters for the exchange of heat. Exchange of heat takes place around 1000 meter. But for the land, it is just the surface up to certain we can say up to certain millimeters, not even centimeters, where the exchange of heat takes place. Because of this low area or the low region here, the latent heat or the specific heat which is able to hold that heat, it is quite low. Therefore, the specific heat of water, it becomes very high than the land. Therefore, we see that the statement 1 is correct option, but statement 2 is incorrect option. Therefore, option C is the correct answer for this question. Now, let's look at the condition. Now, here we have a map which is based on region. So, there are certain countries and there are certain countries with the regional conflict. We are talking about cities here. So, first country is Somalia and the city is Kalimi. Next is Democratic Republic of Congo, which is also called as DRC, and it is Hargeisa. Next is Syria and Manjib. If we look at these locations and the countries, these countries and locations have been in news recently for various conflict purposes. But if we look at the pair here, the Hargeisa region, it is present in Somalia, it is not present in Democratic Republic of Congo, while the Kalemi region, it is present in Democratic Republic of Congo and it is not present in the Somalia region, while the Syria, it is consisting of Manjib Manib region, which is present in Syria. Okay, so here we are looking for the incorrectly matched pair, which is 1 and 2. So we see the answer for this question as B, only 2. Okay, so this was the last question. So guys, this was the discussion for the All India Open Mock Test 3. So just for any queries, you can comment on the comment below and ask the queries. And guys, all the best for the prelims examination. Okay, give your best. Thank you very much.